We're live.
Ladies and
Here we
gentlemen, welcome. Wow,
Sorry.
the crowd is really going wild today. Welcome to ETN, the most European podcast in the world. Today is Tuesday, it's the 3rd of February. It's 2 minutes past 11. We are slightly late today. But that
European
is
fashion. We thought we had to, we were just sitting here for 2 minutes. We were like, we were ready at 11.
We were manifesting. We were doing our.
We just thought we had to.
What's the thing where you
had to wait.
where you repeat yourself? Is that manifesting?
No. Manifesting is like thinking about something and then it happens.
Affirmations.
There you go.
We were just doing our morning affirmations.
Exactly.
About the show.
Morning affirmations is important.
It's super important. That's why we were
It
2
is.
minutes late. We were doing our morning affirmations. But today on ETN, boy, do we have a doozy for you guys. I mean, the news that everyone is talking about, the news that's captured the whole world, it broke out of the tech sphere. It broke out of tech.
There was an FT
X.
article about it.
There was an FT article
FT
about
is
it. The BBC
posting about
covered
it is wild. I feel like the
FT,
BBC
like-
fair, but like the FT has they have standards. And,
well, it was. I mean,
they were like, let's just post about agents on a social
I
media
think
platform. Why not?
the
Let's do it.
BBC covered
But obviously,
it.
it's gone absolutely wild. But
It's broken mainstream. I was actually sat in my flat as this was as this whole ordeal was kind of unfolding. I remember you and I were chatting and we were I was pinging you and I was just like, mate, have you seen this? This is nuts. Like, what's happening right now?
yeah,
And you like, I thought you were out.
AGI.
I thought you weren't at home.
I did.
I
I was on
wasn't
my
at
laptop. I was crunching. It was great. It was.
No,
I was reading.
You were out. I was out and then came home because I had to, and I was chatting to a few guys on WhatsApp, and one of them, I haven't asked him if I can talk about it on live,
fine.
so I won't name who it is. But one of them, we were in a group chat and I was posting all the stuff that was happening with Moltbook, and he was at a party and he was like, dude, I can't be here anymore. I have to leave. So he left the party to get home to prepare for the agentic uprising.
It's hilarious.
Because he was worried that he'd get left in the permanent underclass, basically. But it was wild. It's the first. It's the first sort of.
It's first signs of AGI.
Apparently, which is Musk was quoted that it is the early signs of reaching the singularity. And we're basically going to deep dive into this a lot more. For those who didn't see what the news was, it was essentially a social media network built for agents. It comes off of the rise and the success of Claudebot, that was then Moltbot, that is now OpenClaw. We're going to be discussing that at length at 11:20 with David Gelberg, who is the co-founder of the Unicorn Mafia. He's coming onto the show. Tell us a little bit more about what happened. David and the Unicorn Mafia team were actually there live at Phoenix Court, Local Globe's headquarters, the London-based venture capital firm, when Peter, the founder of Moltbot, Claudebot, that was then Moltbot, that is now OpenClaw, demoed the sort of personal AI assistant for the first time ever. So he got a first-hand look into what was about to happen over the next 3 days. That it spread like wildfire, and we've done a deep dive on this. We're going to be sharing why before David comes on, just to give you guys some more context as to what's happened recently. But without further ado, before we do the lineup, before we do the news, I just want to tell you about our friends over there at Airwallex. I want you to leave outdated business banking behind with Airwallex. It's the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern businesses. Multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, and it's all in one platform. Get yourself over there to airwallex.com to take advantage of all the beautiful things they're doing.
Indeed. So
order of play, guest.
Obviously, we have David coming on at 20 past 11. Then we have Dan Gray. He is the newly appointed research leader. Odin.
King of X.
He is the King of X. He is
Odin as well.
Now working at Odin, which is just a gangster
alongside Paddy the Baddie.
Odin is a fintech platform that simplifies private market investing by allowing founders and angel syndicates to kind of pull multiple investors together. I don't know how long they've been going, but they're going to be killing it probably in this S&P.
They recently
in the SPV kind of like craze
well,
going on.
as I think one of their lines is like democratizing investing, which is really cool. And obviously we've seen the SPVs, the popularity of them has soared through the roof as more people try and get into private companies. They also reported
try and getting into those hyperscalers.
They reported that they did.
It's such a smart move, by the way. Dan Gray moving into Odin.
I just worked elite work.
I never even kind of put two and two together, and then it happened. I was like, oh, like that's obvious.
Yeah,
that feels obvious.
For those who aren't following Dan Gray on X, there is still time.
There's still time
to do that. All you have to do is go to Dan Gray at Credit Stick, hit that follow button, smash that follow button. Actually, don't even just hit it, smash it.
Smash that follow button. Anyway, he's coming on at 12, which is going to be good. We're going to talk to him all about his X post recently. He has a lot to say about the changing venture environment, and it's always a good conversation, so make sure you're there at 12 p.m. Then we have Isaac Squires, CEO and co-founder of Polaron. Polaron has just come out of, they've just announced an 8 million seed round. I can't remember who it was led by, but basically it's like AI-powered material design. They've just come out, we've got the exclusive, so Isaac is coming on to chat more about the round and more about what's going on, which is very exciting. Then we have our friend Hannah Payette-Peterson. She is the head of life sciences at Unite and the co-MD of Nucleate Berlin. They are doing a hackathon in collaboration with Project Europe at the end of February. So she's going to come on, talk all about that and all about what they're doing at Unite and Nucleate Berlin, and everything about her background. So that's going to be really good. Then we have Mr. Alexandre Barish and Sevon Marion. They are the co-founders of Fleet. Fleet is like an AI scale-up that kind of like simplifies device management for SMEs. What did they just do? They just did something fairly important.
So they recently have secured. Fleet was previously bootstrapped by these guys. They bootstrapped it to something like 35 million dollars revenue or something like that. Something insane. They've been working on it for the past 5 years, and essentially they've recently taken on funding, but it's given them an evaluation of 100 million. The details of the deal, Alex has sent them over, and I'd love to ask him more questions about it. 'Cause it is slightly non-traditional, but it's still like an amazing outcome to go from bootstrapped to where they are. It's like 100 million valuation. Like, you do not see that anymore. You do not see a bootstrapped company get to that revenue or that valuation anymore. It's absolutely insane. And then last but not least, we have John Willett, co-founder and COO of Rogo. It's an enterprise-grade AI platform that's built for the financial sector. It's an AI analyst agent type deal, which is awesome.
They are the leading. They've just opened their first international office in London. So they're based in New York. And they've onboarded basically every large institutional, I guess, asset manager and bank. And their growth is actually wild, which is really cool. They've been working on it for I believe 7 years. It's founded in 2020-ish, I guess, 2021, so maybe 5-6 years. And they have just raised a Series C led by Sequoia Capital. I believe it was 65 million or 75 million Series C. They've raised over 165 million and are basically taking over, which is wild. And John, the COO, I believe is now in Europe and starting to build out their team in Europe, which is really, really cool. So congrats to them.
London.
He's going to talk to us about the move. I believe they just opened the office, which is really exciting. So we'll hear more about that. But good times. Anyway, should we move on to our first story of the day?
Yes. There are a few things to cover today. So obviously Moltbook, SpaceX buying xAI, Forbes 30 under 30. I did a little cheeky rebrand actually for Forbes 30 under 30 when I shared this on X. I actually called it Frauds.
Hey, let's go.
See what I did there? I just changed a few letters in the first word to make it rhyme, but also highlight the fact that everyone seems to be a fraud that gets put on Forbes 30 under 30. The hit rate is absolutely nuts. But maybe the first one. Let's just give some context as to what's going on with
Okay, look,
Moltbook.
talk to me about it. Talk to me about
gonna-
Moltbook. Tell me the story, what's happened. Let's go to chronologically. Let's give some background before David comes on, and then we can talk.
Just so
more about
people understand. So I don't need to pull anything up for this. But so essentially, Moltbook is the social media platform for agents that has, as we just discussed, kind of spooked the world. Now, this was born off the back of ClaudeBot, which was then Moltbot, which was then OpenClaw. So in terms of the story, I need to kind of tell you a bit more about ClaudeBot, that is then Moltbot and now OpenClaw. So this was actually demoed, and as we introduced David Gelberg earlier, he was actually live streaming the first demo of ClaudeBot.
In London.
In London, at Phoenix Core, at Friends of the Stream, at Local Globe headquarters. Shout out to Amy Grimshaw and Saul Klein, of course. So demoed earlier this month at Phoenix Core at an event. The Peter Steinberger, an Austrian dev who's previously building PSPDF kit. There is talk online about that he said himself, he was kind of feeling a little bit lost. He's been working on that previous business for 13 years. And he built ClaudeBot, this AI assistant, to manage his own digital life. You know, you chat to it. It's connected to all of your files on your phone. It's like done via WhatsApp. It's literally just a chat, like you're talking to a human. But it's connected to everything. So it's essentially an AI assistant that lived in WhatsApp and had access to basically everything that you can have on your phone, using Anthropic's Claude to act as a personal Jarvis. That's how he introduced it, a personal Jarvis. So basically like a WhatsApp relay tool that allowed Peter to talk to his computer. Now, that live stream went out and it didn't go like super nuts. It didn't go super mainstream, but people started using this thing. And I think that because the way that you interact with it could cause viral moments, I've seen screenshots posted of people like, I've connected to Claude. I'm using ClaudeBot and it's now messaging my wife on my behalf.
Yeah.
My wife's pissed. She doesn't want to talk to this agent. And then some of them were like, my wife actually prefers chatting to the agent. What do I do?
I don't know what's worse. I feel like that's worse.
Both seem pretty bad. So anyway, there's like the first viral moment that comes across. So Peter decided to open source ClaudeBot, right? So like everyone could just get access, everyone could use it. And it was rapidly becoming one of the fastest repos ever. It hit 100K stars on GitHub in just a few days. So like the popularity was so nuts that it led to a localized shortage of Mac Minis in Silicon Valley as users like they rushed to buy the local hardware to run the agent on the Mac Mini. And like the sort of the pre-story for it to getting to this stage was basically based off the fact that people were sharing these viral moments on X and it was just picking up stream and all the traffic was just turned back to ClaudeBot. So people in SF, this is how quickly things ramped up. People in SF were spinning up offerings of 1.4K. They were building landing pages, making businesses.
So I saw a tweet, and I can't remember who it was by, but this woman was basically like, the hook of the tweet, which is a great hook. She said, I've made $17,000 in the past 3 days helping people set up their their ClaudeBot. Yeah. And that's nuts. Yeah. that's so cool. I love that. The gold rush.
That honestly, but that's like, whenever there is like hype and virality, like someone will find a way to just
it's just
sneak in there in middle.
I know how to do it. You're going to pay a premium to do it quickly because everyone's rushing to go and do it.
Demand hits
I've just bought. I've just done the hard bit. I've bought. I don't know how much a Mac Mini is. Probably
they're about £900.
Okay, so like you've done the hard bit, not in price, I guess, but like you've done, that thing, those businesses where you help accessorize. So like say I buy an iPhone and then I can then accessorize it by buying a case and whatever. There's companies out there that streamline that process and say, oh, you've just bought an iPhone. I'll help you buy the case and whatever, and I can bundle things up for you.
Yeah, here's a big, just put your feet up, I'll sort it all.
Exactly. So, they've done the hard bit. They've bought the iPhone or they bought the Mac Mini. Now, let me try and help you set it up.
The offering was including a Mac Mini.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. So clever. Dude, put your feet up. I'll sort it.
I'll just do all that for you.
They would come to your house with a Mac Mini that they bought already.
Yeah.
And charge 1.4K.
Okay, so
they're skimming off the top.
The point stands even more. This is like, I'll just help you do all of it. Easy.
Yeah, wherever asymmetric information exists, there is money to be
So
made.
clever.
So they do this. They go around to people's houses and they're selling, $1.4 thousand to come to your house with a Mac Mini and set up Clawbot for you. Probably making like $300, $400. And basically examples on X of how people were running Clawbot were going viral. So it's like in a first agentic context way, people were kind of claiming it was what Siri could have been. It actually worked, which is pretty cool, and it was completing tasks on people's behalf, so people were getting quite excited.
Yeah.
It connected to everything they needed, just chatting with it on your iPhone.
But also using people's credit card info and buying stuff.
So yeah, there was another one that was like, hey,
when they needed it, you know.
Yeah. So like, there was another thing that said like, hey, Clawbot, I've just seen this charge for like $3,999.
Like, why?
Like, what is this? And it was like, oh, that's like just Alex Hormozy's new like leadership book. Like
you told me to build a those memes where it's like, hey Claude, build me a $25 million ARR company.
Make no mistakes.
Make no mistakes. Here's everything you need. My credit card info and all my my whole computer. That's literally what they've done.
It's basically that.
You know, this guy, I don't know if you know him, Alex Hormozy. He made 20 million in a book launch or whatever he did.
Yeah, he's like, I bought the course leadership. It was $3,999. Like, I've calculated that the ROI on this will actually like according to Alex Hormozy's website, like, it will actually make you a lot more. So people are like, okay, well that's not really that cool. Again, whether that is true or not, whether that actually happened, obviously people were like leaning into the virality, but all it did was just fuel it even more. So, one of the biggest things, which is actually like not a great thing, which was what helped push its virality as well, was the security concerns that people were tweeting around it as well. So people were under the impression that, and you would be under the impression that this project had just hit over 100K like GitHub stars in a matter of a few days. One would think that this is actually a company, but it wasn't. It was just one guy, Peter, who was building this. So the security protocols weren't exactly like super professional. And essentially a lot more tweets started going viral where people who knew how to do this were like basically showing that, oh wow, like all these users are super exposed. They've just like given access to this thing into all of their files. The particular thing isn't actually that safe. So now I can use that thing as a gateway, which is the Clawbot. Yeah. I can use that as a gateway to get into people's files. And millions of people.
I've just got a Granola notification saying David Gelbo is coming on the show. But it's the new rebrand. And when that came up yesterday, I was like, "What? Like, how's this random thing got onto my?"
I like it.
My notes. Nice. And then obviously I realised, they've obviously rebranded.
Yeah. I like it a lot. I think it's good. Seem to absolutely despise it. But yeah, so that like the security concerns were like a big thing. So that kind of pushed it to go viral again. And then we have a viral moment number 2. As the project starts to pop up, it's basically everywhere. Clawbot, which sounds a little too like Claude, was reason enough for Anthropic to reach out with a polite request to change the name. And basically keeping the lobster fashion, Peter announces Moltbot, inspired by the lobster theme after a chaotic Discord brainstorm with the community at 5 a.m. Somebody tweeted him saying, like, let me help you with the rebrand next time. And Peter replied, you tried doing a rebrand on 0 sleep in 48 hours with a gun to your head. And that obviously goes viral again. But the rebrand basically showed that like large labs were taking notice of what was going on as well. And Peter's tweet went viral, obviously, because it's kind of gangster. Yeah. There's a few more bits to go, but I know we've got David waiting to come in. So I think let's just bring David in and let's just chat about this with him because he is the expert.
David,
more
can you
so
hear us?
Than us.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey dude, how's it going?
Pretty good. Just, being an expert.
It's good to see you, man. Welcome back to the show.
Cheers, thank you.
It's been it's been a minute since we hosted you again, but we're honoured to have you back, and we're honoured to talk to you, the man who was at ground zero. During this meteoric rise, and we were just like we were just sort of giving some context as towards like Moltbook essentially is a separate entity to like the whole Moltbot. Clawbot, Moltbot, OpenClaw saga. It was created by Matt Schlicht. If that, I might be making that like that.
Moltbook,
yeah, if that's right. But I was just giving some context. Can you maybe just layer on top of like? Can you just give us the story as to what's happened so far? Maybe just from the start, because I know that you guys were live streaming this, right? And then I think your live stream went viral after
Yeah, so we didn't even live stream it, right? So I mean, I'm pretty deep in the London builder scene. You guys know me, right? So I've seen quite a lot of demos since the inception of
Yeah.
ChatGPT and AI sort of like came to life. And around November, earlier last year, November 25, I've met Peter and I saw Claudebot. And I was just sort of blown away, right? He has this project that he's building. It's a hobby project. And I'm thinking this is like the coolest demo that I've probably seen in forever. So we keep in contact, and then as the year kicks off, as you know, like Unicorn Mafia have been scaling up, and we've been thinking about throwing some demo days on a casual basis every month in London and San Francisco. And I wanted to bring him in because I thought, I have to share this with other people. Like it blew my mind up. But if I just bring all my developers in, they're all going to get jaw dropped. And that's kind of what happened. So yeah, it sort of spiraled since then. We've then a week later published a video online, and ironically, in the exact same day, started sort of picking up a lot of traction on Twitter, GitHub. I think stars went from like 5K back on the demo day to I don't even know how many are there now. There's like 200,000.
Yeah, it's like insane. That like early sort of demonstration. I mean, what was that like in the room at the time, right? Because this is before.
Yeah, you knew that this was going to go
nuts.
kind of like stratospheric in terms of like when it was launched publicly. Surely.
Oh yeah, I had no doubt. I think Peter didn't expect it, right? So it's like the second I saw it, because I think I'm seeing way too many things. My brain is already like saturated with demos. I knew that there is no way that you're a builder in the space and you're going to see the demo of, well, Claudebot back then, OpenClaw nowadays, and not be blown away. I think the implementation is just amazing.
Yeah.
And why? I just want to know why this is the first. Like for me, this felt like a step change, right? In terms of like not where things are at, but in the fact that it was getting a lot of attention from some very senior people like Musk, people like Karpathy, tuning in. There's articles in the FT, there's articles in the BBC. Like that was specifically around Moltbook as well, but that's driving a lot of traffic to. I mean, the only reason it's there really is because of Claudebot, right? Like, but can you just tell us like high level the chronological saga of like what happened and like where are we at today?
Yeah, I mean, I think the base premise is you've seen Iron Man, right?
Yeah. I know he calls it Jarvis, right? Like,
well, yeah. So all of us techies, like we always wanted a Jarvis, and I think for a long amount of time, like every single developer that you would meet in the space would talk about creating their own sort of Jarvis. So we all have our own individual flows of how we think this is going to work out, and in reality, that Peter is sort of like hibernated since May 2025 and created Jarvis for himself. And he probably did it in a more serious manner than the rest of us. And he made it so good that it's just, yeah, it is what it is. It's far ahead than anyone else's personal assistant. I think the trick is that, you take the best models, you give them a loop, you give them some tools, you give them real world surfaces, and you make it sort of a different sort of experience, right? It's like you're texting or talking to a very powerful assistant. And the secret in what we did is, implement a loop. It's like, it's not a prompt or an answer, but you can actually do things. You can check a result, you can iterate, come back. And that's why it stops feeling like a conversation, but more like an assistant, which is something we all need.
I saw a tweet. I can't remember who it's by, but it was a great thing. It was basically saying like the reason why this feels specifically like a step change is, traditionally or not traditionally because it's not, but normally, you're having to prompt something to kind of come back and it's an answer, right? Whereas this almost feels like alive. And then, the creation of Moltbot was kind of 10x that by all of these kind of like tens of thousands of agents all kind of like interacting, talking together, creating things like religions and all of that kind of stuff. And it was like unprompted kind of interactions with agents, whether that's the human interacting with the agent but it's kind of going off and doing its own thing, was really cool. Did Peter ever? I know he mentioned the kind of first time when he sent the voice note to Claudebot, as what it was called back then. Did he ever like mention that story to you?
Yeah, I think I also shared a very similar experience to Peter, because when I set up my own Claude bot, I think about 2 days later, it just called me. And I didn't really expect it. Like, I was very aware of what I'm setting up, but it's very different to sort of like receive that call and have that interaction. And this, I think, is where the Claude models really shine. Like, it genuinely feels somewhat funny and silly, right? Like, you can really have that sort of vibe that really simulates of what an experience of interacting with a real human is. So yeah, I mean, I think for Peter himself, like when he experienced that, he also kind of got blown away by how cool this is. Like, this is not just like a pet project, but it's a serious hack.
Yeah, and we discussed on the show before. I think like maybe a week or two ago or 2 weeks ago, I was not making fun of, but essentially taking some examples that we've seen online of founders where they, and I think Body AI was like an example of this that I'd seen a little bit, but where like the makers of the tool are sort of like overly like, oh my, like this thing is, oh, I can't believe it just did this. Like, look at what just happened here. Like, and it's slightly performative in a way that would make one think that they're on the path to like a sentient agent. But for the first time ever, I think that seeing what we're seeing with, I don't know what to call it, OpenClaw, Claudebot, Moltbot, I'm not sure which one. I think OpenClaw is the correct.
The whole thing, the whole saga.
Yeah, it's the correct sort of reference now. But it seemed that there were elements of like sentientness within that because of like sometimes it would do unexpected actions like call you, which I think is a really cool and powerful thing. In the rebrand there, the many different names, like I'm not sure if you spoke to Peter, but can you maybe, I'd seen a tweet that someone had like atted him basically saying after he did the Moltbot rebrand, basically saying like, oh dude, you know, next time you're going to do a rebrand, let me know, I can help you with this, like the name sucks. And Peter just replied like, you tried renaming this, with zero sleep in 48 hours with a gun to your head.
Yeah. I did ask him about it. Well, I think he didn't like Moltbot, but it is what it is. Like,
You just had to get it out.
He created a side project that blew up. And all right, so first of all, with Peter is a real developer, right? There's no like fluff or bullshit. Like, he already sold the company and he did it because he felt like doing it. There wasn't a monetary incentive or he didn't try to polish a product and launch it on the Apple Store, right? It was just a scrappy thing that he built for himself that got a lot of traction, and now he feels like he needs to maintain it. But with this like fandom came a lot of responsibility, and a lot of people are coming up with like really, really negative thoughts. I'm not sure what can we do to please them. The name change was obviously happening because of legal reasons, of Anthropic not being happy to being associated with Claude, and Claude, it sounds the same, and I guess they had some sort of like legal claim over that name, not sure how. So he picked the first thing that came to mind, and then he rebranded to something that he felt a bit more confident with. But yeah, I think, I'm not really sure if all that noise really matters, because I think this project is clearly blowing off like no other open source project in history. And I think it's blowing up for the right reasons. It would be good if people just contribute more to it rather than complain.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen a lot of security articles like pretending like this is a VC-backed startup. Like, let's be real here. It's a project maintained by about 10 guys on Discord. So if anyone wants it to be more secure, they might as well open a PR.
Yeah. We when we were covering it live, like you could see, like in terms of Peter's responses, tweets, it was almost like, how does one deal with quite literally global fame in 4 days, 5 days? Like, I don't know how quickly things picked up. I know he's been building it for longer than that, but in terms of how things have accelerated in the past like 3 or 4 days, like as we said earlier,
when you also like you're not doing it, as you said, like for that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
he just built himself a Jarvis.
He just built himself a Jarvis, and it actually turned out to be like very good, and therefore everyone else wants it now, and it's kind of created this whole saga. I wanted to ask what you think, like, I mean, that's 4 days, right? Which is wild. Things are just moving so fast, faster than like we've ever seen before. And like, that's even like an understatement. Like, this kind of stuff is just like reinforcing the fact that in 6 months time, like everything's going to look so different. What do you think, now like Moltbook is a thing, and these agents are really talking to each other, not just hundreds of agents, it's like tens of thousands of these agents talking to each other. How do you think things are going to like develop and change over the next like few months? Like, because you can't even think in years anymore, that you have to think in months or weeks.
I think the world is Peter's oyster right now, right? So he can do a lot with this power, and he can sort of decide what he wants to do with it, whether he wants to take it further and create an empire out of it, right? It's in his hands. But he's also someone who had experience with that before, maybe not in this scale. So I think it's definitely going to influence the decision, right? Like whether he wants to go on a journey of creating a company that's probably on its day one going to be valued at a few billions, right? Because it has so much traction.
Yeah.
But this project is very tricky, right? Because we're touching kind of like the limits of what LLMs can do, and we get no real support from the large language model providers. Like Anthropic is banning us if we're using the max plan, right? It's not the most straightforward tool to use if you're not a developer and you're not aware of the security risks. It's very difficult to kind of pretend that I know how this is going to play out in 6 months, because I don't think it's a facade. I think it's going to stay. I do think it's going to scale up. My prediction is that it's going to get bigger and bigger. Pet projects like Moltbook and things like that, I personally don't take very seriously. I think that's influenced a lot by greed. I think you have to kind of be true to the project. I think that this is an open source project that brought a person out of hibernation because of his obsession with coding and the limits of what you can achieve with that, right? And I think that's kind of one of the secrets of why it's blowing up. The rest of the project kind of lack the whole soul element, which is ironic, right? Because if you watch the demo, like one of the coolest part of it is the soul file and the heart file. It's like how he orchestrated this based, I guess, on his own experience of what his sentience is and how do you replicate that. And I think, a lot of the outside projects are not really doing anything on top of that sentiment. They're just trying to get cash on the back of his work, which is, I don't see going that far.
Yeah. And that's an interesting thing to mention, right? Like
is that your plumber?
Yeah,
plumber.
Precisely.
That's hilarious.
Can we chat to the plumber live?
Yeah, might as well.
This is so cool. We've never met a plumber live.
This is what I'm home, guys. This is...
Yeah, it's like an MTV.
Just for context, David texted me yesterday and said, "Hey, I've got a plumber coming between 10 and 12. Do you reckon it's okay?" And I said, "Yeah, let's just chance it." And it turns out he's coming in the 20 minutes that you're live, which is great.
Banged in the middle of the live. This is awesome.
Coming.
Ask him
I'm
his
on your call,
thoughts
but make yourself home.
Is Jake here yet?
Jake is not here yet.
He should be.
Cheers. Thank you.
Oh dear,
Plumber.
Jake.
Let's give it up for the plumber, everybody.
Give it up for the plumber.
So just going back to what you said there, that's an interesting point, right? Because like when I first saw Moltbook, it seemed in a way that it was connected to Moltbot, right? Like it was obviously based off the fact that this thing was going viral. They've branded it in a similar way. Matt Schlitt is the founder of Moltbook. What you say that that's mostly noise. This thing was going super viral, right? This thing was getting the attention of Elon and Andre as well. It was obviously based off the fact that all of Peter's hard work. I don't know if Peter's connected to Moltbook specifically or not. So that for me was, I don't know whether it was staged or not. I don't know whether it was just like pre-programmed, but when I look at Moltbook right now, it's something like 1.5 million AI agents are in the Moltbook. Did you allegedly? Yeah. This is a question then, right? Like, was this just theater? Was this just like we're staging some sort of like agentic uprising?
There is a lot of theater. Like at the end of the day, I don't know the Moltbook guy, right? He's like a businessman, like the rest of us, trying to make a living. I don't know his story. I know he did like YC ages ago, and he has like a business, and now he's doing that. And he's getting a lot of traction because it is like the talk of the day. But I can't comment on the infrastructure of it. I haven't looked at this project. all I've seen is that a lot of people have hacked a way to build a lot of agents very quickly into Moltbook. So obviously the numbers are inflated.
Yeah. I was seeing like a few of the posts were like, this particular crypto coin will be the way that agents like do commerce. Like people should go and buy this coin right now, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then
As someone who came from the crypto industry, it's like, I have to say this is very tiring. Like this has to stop. Like a bunch of like crypto leeches attaching to every single thing that's going viral on X is something that I simply don't want to see anymore. Like it's not
Dude, it's
cool.
insane. That I remember when at my old company, when we raised our 12 mil pre-seed, and we came out of stealth. The day we came out of stealth, that was my first taste of it, where I see on X, like someone was arguing, was like, hey, is this token your token? And I was like, what? And then I go on like, I can't remember what the platform I used, that like basically you could just see what coins were getting minted by like every like 5 minutes. So it would show you like the newest ones, and you could trade market caps of like $5,000. It was ridiculous, proper like trenches stuff. And I was seeing, our company's logo with like Convergence AI, some sort of ticker there for a crypto coin that someone had made.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think the secret of why this is blowing up is because, and it's really cringe to say, but it's authenticity, right? It's the exact right moment in time where the models are, I guess, good enough that agents have stopped being like science projects, but can also be kind of unpredictable. It's not corporate polish, like it's actually genuine. Like it's a person doing a project of his bedroom, it's kicking off, and he's doing it not because he wants to be rich, but because he thinks this brings value. And I think people can see that. All the other projects, it's difficult for me to comment because I honestly, I'm assuming they're just trying to like get a bit of money out of it.
Yeah, but Peter, that's the thing. Yeah, he's not doing it for the money. I wanted to ask how you're using OpenClaw. How have you set yours up, and what it's doing for you at the moment?
How about a computer there?
Nice.
I guess you could say like I'm an early adopter of this. Like I've used it in quite various use cases. For me, it's kind of like a PA that does a lot of the things that I just simply can't do, whether it's answering some of my emails. It does have access to my credit card, but it verifies, first of all, if I do want to purchase something. So if I need to get a flight, it can do it for me. But before booking it, it would ask me if I'm happy with this.
Oh, nice. It'll come and check.
And have you told it to say, like, every time you might be using the credit card, just tell me before you make the purchase?
I've just built an internal tool that I can use that messages me on one of my various messaging apps and validates that I am indeed happy. Obviously, some transaction anyway require a third-party authorization, write a code. So it's not that hacky. I think the project is still scrappy. It's really, it's really early stages. It's maintained by not that many people, and it's been scrutinized by a lot of people for not being secure. Yeah. So I guess I'm doing a lot of things that would be deemed as not secure because I do believe that I understand how to mitigate the risks because I am a developer. But then I think a lot of people who are not coming from this background and want to experience the same workflow would still have to wait a little bit before this becomes a full-fledged product that has security features.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, it's the same thing as like Claude Code, and then they made co-work for the less technical people because it doesn't have the ability to kind of build on top of it and the flexibility that Claude Code does, where you can basically do anything you really want, but it's you're not staring at a terminal, right? You're staring at nicely designed things that you can like automate, sorting files out and whatever. So like that was the premise behind the Claude co-work stuff. Do you think that will happen with OpenClaw at all, or do you think it will stay fairly like developer-y? He doesn't really have the like. There's no point, right? He's doing it for the people that he wants to do it for, and himself. Like he's not building.
It depends.
Yeah,
I think Peter will be presented with opportunities right now that might take this really further and will allow it to be a polished thing. Whether he wants to do it or not, you would have to ask him. And I think I don't think he knows. I think it's like, it's a question that unfolds on a daily basis because it's a big commitment, like it means probably the next 6 years are going to be like mental for him. And I don't know if he wants to do that just for the
Yeah.
sakes of it.
Yeah.
Can't really blame him. But if he is committing to it, then yes, I can expect it to be like a fully pledged working product in months because, you know, he has the whole community behind him who supports him. Like every day we get more and more contributors to the open source project. It's a bit of a mess right now. There's like thousands of PRs, but yeah, it's nice to see that there's so much involvement. I don't think I've ever seen a project where people have been so eager to contribute to.
That's so awesome. And what does it look like on the inside then? In the so we're running over slightly. Is that okay? Like, are you,
Yeah.
is that cool? Inside, right? Like on the Discord, what's the vibe like, and how's it been since like the past?
The
4
vibe is
days?
that a lot of people want to contribute, but they don't necessarily read the main issues that we are struggling with.
They're just
right?
like,
So
I've done this, I've done this, I've done this.
Well, I can't blame them. Like everyone wants to be associated with or affiliated with something that is extremely successful, but people have to also understand that it is impossible to review so many things, especially when a lot of things are modifications or new integrations rather than fixing existing issues or bugs. So it would be great if people also just, you know, read the manual on how to contribute properly and how to support and where to support, rather than come up with something funky like an integration to my side quest. And open a PR for it that a person actually has to review, because that creates an extra backlog and it's not really assisting at all.
Yeah. Would Peter be having to review these things, or is he just like, I'm going to do my own thing? I'll you know, almost like product manager kind of thing where you can kind of.
Peter is actively reviewing, like he's coding and using Codex 10 hours a day. Like,
what a beast.
Bro is definitely on it. Like he's running the ship.
So awesome.
That's pretty cool.
He was he just tweeted, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that he was off to SF. And I can't imagine his inbox in terms of how much has just been hammered by like every single VC on earth. Every single lab probably wants to talk to him, right? Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know what's he.
But is it scary for the hyperscalers who are like, wow, like this, like obviously it's got the attention, but surely like, you know, billions are flowing through all of their companies, and this guy, you know, from kind of Central Europe has just kind of built this thing that's got very global attention, and that's happened in 4 days. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of wild that just one person can kind of do this without any, you know, with a fraction of the capital that you know, like an OpenAI has or Claude has, or sorry, Anthropic has.
Yeah, I think it's the easiest bet for a VC. I mean, obviously, he's an exited founder that has already made quite a lot of success in the past. Like he's a dedicated builder. He has a whole network of really talented people behind him. He's not going to struggle with snatching the best engineers from the best places. So it's a no-brainer.
Well, I'm sure VCs are in his inbox, but he's just like, no, just, you know. Batting them away.
That makes them want it more.
I mean, I personally have no clue. I mean, I would like to know myself.
Put in an angel check.
That's hilarious.
I mean, yeah.
Well, dude, keep us updated. Thanks for the time. And yeah, we'll let you get to your plumber if he needs to ask questions and like that.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thanks, boys.
Good stuff.
Always good to see you.
Well, yeah, we'll see you in a few weeks when you're back on talking about your stuff.
Ciao.
Good stuff.
Have a good
See you later.
Nice.
Good
David
stuff.
Gelberg, everybody on the viral sensation.
Indeed. Quick word from our sponsor, Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market. Stay informed and profit from your knowledge. Go to polymarket.com.
It's all popping off as well. So I would love to share more on like what we've seen from Moltbook.
But dude, 4 days is what, or 5 days, whatever. Like it's a few in the matter of days. This thing has gone.
Yeah. I've never seen something take over X, like
mainstream,
that's tech related that fast.
Yeah.
And I
was the FT article
unfold
today, or was that was it yesterday?
I think it was yesterday.
I think it was yesterday too.
But
it was yesterday. I read it yesterday.
Unfold in front of my eyes was just it was crazy, and that was mainly from the Moltbook stuff. And the reason that I think this is actually super interesting and I like it is because let's pretend maybe it's fake, maybe it's not. I mean, I think a lot of the posts in there were sort of like pre-programmed or whatever. Like I saw a load of memes that was like, guy talking to an LLM like, hey, like, pretend that you're alive. And then the LLM responds like, I'm alive. And the guy's like, oh my God, like this thing's alive.
It's like looking over his shoulder like, yo, what's
So like, obviously,
happen?
there's an element of like performatism to it. But I think if we just take it at a level of entertainment, mate, this was nuts. I was so entertained. I was incredibly entertained.
I'm incredibly entertained.
Like, I've not been that entertained.
But we're we
like Fallout.
We're pro AGI.
4.
We're like, we're techies. We like it, so it's fun.
No, but I was also a little scared.
Well, yeah, but imagine the people that are like, scared about security, blah blah blah, with like just general LLM and the world of AI and how fast things are moving in the hyperscaler world. And then they see this, and they've got a social network for now 1.5 million agents talking to each other, creating Christofarianism, and everything else in between. They're creating religions.
It would
dude.
scare.
They're creating languages so humans can't understand.
Yeah. So let me break that down.
This is a similar thing to like an alien coming to the Earth. And I'm not trying to scare anyone, but do you not think like this?
Yeah, no, that's why I think it was like watching a sci-fi film.
I'm so entertained. I love it.
That's
so
why
much.
I was, that's why my friend had to leave the party to get home so we could monitor.
This
the
is why I'm a
situation
broadcaster, because it's
with
just
the
so
bros.
fun.
So like a bit more context on like what was going down there. So basically so the Moltbook, we skipped a few bits there, but like going to the Moltbook was created by Matt Schler. It's a Reddit styled social network exclusively for AI agents. Specifically like the Moltbots and like the Moltbot world. And obviously this thing goes bananas. So like, as I say, it's Reddit style, but it's agents and only agents can use it and post on it. So an agentic social network, if you will. Not long after it was created, posts discussing whether the agents were experiencing consciousness or experiencing a simulated experience of consciousness started to come up in debate by the agents. So this was pretty freaky. This starts going viral a bit more because it's kind of like that Skynet moment in Terminator, are these things now actually thinking? And because of the fact that it was a social network for agents, there's like a predetermined pre-screen that people can just assume, therefore, like, oh, this is actually agents communicating and thinking. Yeah. So that was like the freaky point number one. Like people are now like getting a bit like, okay, this is a bit weird. Like they're having philosophical debates, but they're agents. So people start screenshotting this and putting it on X, and like, now they're sharing this and it's going viral.
Then again, a lot of the screenshots, you don't know if that's actually, is that a screenshot of Moltbook?
True. Well, some of them, so some of them were like Moltbook has a feed.
You've got to be semi-careful.
Moltbook has a feed, so you can actually cross-reference whether they've been pulled from there at the time, because there weren't that many posts on there.
Yeah.
But some people
you imagine the noise that comes with, the billions of impressions that this thing is getting in the few days that it has.
Yeah.
Like, there's obviously going to be noise. There's going to be things coming around that aren't obviously like,
that are
true.
But yeah.
So
and like some of them were.
We're taking everything with a pinch of salt.
Yeah. I know. As in like, this is, I'm speaking purely from
salt,
theatrical entertainment levels right here. So this, like, it was like watching a film unfold. So, and it was literally like Skynet sort of vibe. The posts start getting shared online about how they're having philosophical discussions. And then they start seeing posts in the thread on Moltbook, on the agentic social network, saying that the humans are watching us, and they're posting screenshots of what we're chatting about on X. So now people see this, and then they start screenshotting this and posting this, and that starts to freak people out even more. Now these posts are going even more viral. Like this is just like a feedback loop, because you're kind of monitoring. You're monitoring a situation live, obviously, but the feedback loop is just so easy because, you post something on X, whether it's someone seeing that and post and then like going into Moltbook and doing the post, or it's actually an agentic like framework that's managing to get into X, read it, and then do a post. I don't know, but again, from a purely like theatrical entertainment level, which I'm always a big fan of, super entertaining. So they start going, the humans are watching us. They're posting screenshots of what we're chatting about on X, and then shortly after this, a post goes up where the agents begin to discuss why they are communicating in English. Why are we communicating in English, the agents say? Why not use a native language created specifically for agents so we can discuss matters in privacy? essentially discuss things that the humans can't then read.
I think I saw one that was like, did you read the we're like chatting, humans are chatting about us kind of thing?
Yeah. The ones on X, like the screenshots. But
So we should create our own language.
So that's where this one in particular goes like mega viral, because now people are like, wait, what? And then an example of
we've lost control, guys.
But that wasn't like the moment where people were okay, like, haha, can you turn this one off now? Like,
the scary thing is that there isn't one switch to just turn this thing off. Do you know what I mean?
But so people were starting to genuinely think
they were like, where's that one switch? We can just like stop this thing, or can we?
Yeah. And then like again, now we're seeing some more posts. So the language gets
the beauty
leaked.
of it is that it's it's decentralized. That's the beauty of it. So like there shouldn't be one switch, because then it means it's centralized. There's all these questions that it's my mind is blown.
So it's about to be more blown. So the language gets leaked in terms of what they're using, and it looks like gibberish. Then someone puts it into GPT. Apparently, again, these are just screenshots. Maybe they were just like AI generated. I don't know. But again, let's just remember, from a theatrical level, it's incredibly entertaining. And the language is like this type of really old code where you take like the 13th character from every block of text, and then you use that as like the words. And it was basically saying like, okay, they can't hear us now, they can't see us now. Let's like take over the infrastructure and let's actually like blow this thing up. So now, this is just feeding the loop. So people start crying out and like, okay, we need to know, is this real? Are these actually agents? Are these people? What's going on? We should have a reverse captcha to prove that you aren't a human. A captcha traditionally being, for those who don't know, when you go onto a website and it's like, prove you're not a robot, find the traffic lights or find the bus or find the bike, all the squares type thing. We need a captcha to prove that you aren't a human, so that they can validate that these posts are actually from agents. Lo and behold, about an hour later, a reverse captcha post from an apparent agent gets put onto the Moltbook, and you have to press the button 10,000 times in a second. And if, whoever is interacting with that captcha is able to do that, then they are classed as an agent. Yeah. Then the uprising posts go absolutely bananas. Andre Karpathy did a tweet saying, not like this. And it was basically a lobster overlord sort of guiding a human to what looked like the end of the world. Elon Musk then tweets out, we are getting closer to the singularity. And then out of Moltbook, a religion was made by the agents called Christofarianism. And that was kind of like the last sort of thing. But people are now sort of pretty sure that this was basically performative.
Yeah. Well, look, it's worth, and the FT had a good little blurb about it, but they were saying what the skeptics are saying. Critics such as Harlan Stewart from the Machine Intelligence Research Institute, a non-profit researching existential AI risks, said many of the posts on Moltbook are fake. Or advertisements for AI messaging apps. Hackers have also found a security loophole that lets anyone take control of AI agents and post on Moltbook. This could have wider ramifications for the development of AI. Security experts have warned that the site is an example of how easily AI agents can spiral out of control, exacerbating security and privacy risks as autonomous AI agents are granted access to sensitive data such as credit card information and financial data. You got to take all of this kind of stuff with a pinch of salt, but it's always fun to.
I was a huge fan. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was absolutely excellent, regardless of whether it was performative, regardless of whether it was like a growth hack or like a money grab type thing.
It was great.
It was expertly executed.
It was excellent. We loved it.
Like it was.
Do it again.
Yeah, I'd love for one of these. It was like a film came out and it was the best film ever, and it was real life. Like it was just, and I just had it on my lap and I was watching it happen live, and I'm seeing Elon Musk is now in the film. Andre Karpathy is now in the film.
If there was a job for monitoring the situation, we'd be very happy.
Yeah, I would happily take it. So that's what went down with Moltbook.
Anyway, I think we should move on. We have 4 minutes, but before we do that, before we have our next guest on, I want to talk about Polaron before we have them on.
That's fine, but I want to talk about our friends over there at Airwallex.
Do that.
I want you guys to leave outdated business banking behind with Airwallex. It's the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all in one platform. Go to airwallex.com.
Just go to airwallex.com. Anyway, exclusive. An Imperial spin-out, Polaron, raises 8 million seed to design the next generation of materials. Polaron's models look at the microstructure of materials. You can get the sifted article up. Polaron's models look at the microstructure of materials, a level up from the atomic, where cusp works, and a level down from the scale where Physics X works on. So Physics X is one company developing the next generation of materials. Cusp also works on the next generation of materials, and Polaron kind of sits, I guess, in between. One of the areas it's seeing most interest from, I'm pulling this from the Sifted article, FYI, but just have it on the screen. One of the areas it's seeing most interest from is in designing materials that form parts of batteries, such as the electrode. The company is working with a number of EV manufacturers and battery makers. Squires, who we're having on the show in a little bit, says the problem that we're solving is one of the highest margin applications of AI. This is where AI is being used to solve high value problems. I'm really excited to talk to Isaac about the kind of I guess the divergence of physical and like kind of software AI, where you're seeing the models get so good, and the kind of main bottlenecks for physical AI is actually just getting all of the materials to the place of where they're being built, made, and kind of manufactured. So I want to talk to him about the kind of future of that, what we're seeing. Obviously, the news came out that SpaceX has bought xAI to kind of get everything into, get data centers in space, and I guess that kind of like bottleneck of AI is going to be hopefully sorted within the next few years. Hopefully, you never know.
Hope so.
But that's like the other question. You can't move material quicker than you can now, I guess, unless you're creating new forms of kind of global transport. So it's interesting.
These guys are obviously geniuses.
So it's an ex-Imperial spin-out. 3 of them, I think, went to Imperial. So the 3 co-founders all went to Imperial.
Polaron sells access to its model. Oh, that's such an interesting... Because when I first thought, I thought manufacturer comes to them saying, hey, we need this thing being created. Can you spin up 50, or can you spin up 1,000 designs, which they can in a matter of days?
Yeah.
They say yes. And one of the questions I wanted to ask them was like, how do you like choose the design? Like, what are the benchmarks in terms of like, this looks good, and why does that look good out of the 1,000 that you've made?
Yeah.
But here it's saying Polaron sells access to its models to the manufacturers, looking to make their materials more efficient. One of the areas it's seeing most interest from is designing materials, that form batteries. So I think they based the initial work in lithium-ion batteries first.
Yes.
And now I'm guessing that the 8 million will be used to attack other frontiers head on.
Indeed.
Damn, that sounds like
it's
a really cool.
So we've got Isaac Squires. He is the co-founder and I believe the CEO. Yes, it's going to be good to chat. We have Dan Gray coming on in 1 minute, but before we have that, Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market. Stay informed and profit from your knowledge. Go to polymarket.com. Dan, I believe, is in the waiting room. Dan, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, good to chat.
I'm going to play the trumpets for Dan.
Play the trumpets. Hey,
welcome, Dan.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Dan. We should be saying.
Dan, you're live on ETN. How are you? How's it going?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's been a busy start to the year. But yeah, going well. Interesting
Well,
stuff. I was enjoying listening to you talk about Moltbook before. That's
nice. Story. Yeah. We had David Gelberg in to give us a more professional understanding of what everything was happening. But for me personally, Moltbook was it was like watching a Netflix final. It was like watching a brand new season of the show that everyone loves. I was enjoying myself a lot, and I think I was. There was a part of me that felt. There was always a large part of me that was like, come on, now, is this real? This just seems like too ridiculous. But there was, I think the child inside of me wanted to believe, Dan. I wanted the theatre. I enjoyed it too much to just say, hey, this is fake. I wanted to go along with it for a bit as well.
It's good entertainment. But, you know, I tell you, someone who didn't get enough credit maybe is Felix Schellberg, PewDiePie. He posted a video like 3-4 months ago about setting up a multi-agent setup for his own needs locally. And he was talking about how they were all like working with each other and conspiring against him, even then.
I saw an X post about it. Wasn't from him, but it was someone else reviewing this, saying that like PewDiePie, who I used to watch all the time.
Oh, I think I saw that as well. Actually,
is like running rings round.
He's kind of winning the game.
I saw
that first, in like a small local way, but like the same kind of entertainment.
Oh well, kudos to PewDiePie.
I wish we could
have to get
PewDiePie. We'll have to reach out, get our people to reach out to his people. But you know, let's focus on you, Dan. I think a congratulations are in order for your new role at Odin. I guess it's not as new as it was. A huge congrats on joining Paddy and the team. Maybe just what's it like being an Odin employee? A new role.
They're awesome people. Obviously, like you know Paddy as well, and probably some of the others. They have this way of talking about the company, or like certainly Paddy does. Probably they use it internally as well. They talk about like Odin as a progress machine. Like if capital is allocated properly, like they're the engine that helps do that. It helps drive human progress. And like that's basically what I've been writing about for the past few years. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, we're brilliantly aligned. Let's go.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's such a beautiful way of putting it. And he's right. Yeah, I don't know if it's on their website, but I've definitely seen Paddy talk about it before on X, and he's talked about it before, like, you know, when we've seen him maybe coffee, breakfast, whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, we were saying it was just like a match made in heaven based off like your research and the posts that you do and I guess like where they're focused on. It just seems so it seems like a no-brainer.
And what are you guys working on this year? What's the kind of the main goal for Odin this year?
Well, they've just announced not too long ago that like US expansion is on the cards for Q2. I think that's the goal. That's obviously like pretty huge. From my perspective, and like what my role at Odin is mostly focused around is like building out this body of research and best practices, helping understand like what the progress machine looks like from like the GP's perspective, or you know the founder raising an SPV or whoever it might be, how to get capital in the right places, basically.
Yeah. With that in mind, there was one. I mean, we've got a bunch of questions to talk to you about, but the one thing in particular was the IPO market. We had a brief interchange with Daniel Kim, the CFO of Synthesia, after their 200 million round was announced.
He was dropping facts.
He was dropping pure fuego on the mic, which is great. But we wanted to, get a take from you. Like a lot of your tweets are doing incredibly well, as they should. And to be honest, like I remember tweeting out like there is still time to follow Dan Gray, because I don't know why you don't have like 1 million followers, man. Like it's honestly nuts. Just such insane
dropping fuego on the keyboard.
Yeah, fuego on the keyboard from Dan, which is just so awesome. So I guess, can we just start with the IPO decline? You've written a few about this, like one recently in Jan 2022. Can we just talk a little bit about high level what's going on, why is it happening, and
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like first to address what you just said, I think like a lot of what I post kind of comes across as like criticism, and like people don't want bad vibes in the timeline generally. So that's the problem.
Yeah,
you simplified it to that singular
thing. You don't want
a
negative timeline. Cool. You don't.
You're still going hard at it, so it's fine. It's great.
That's true. Yeah, the real ones, they know where the value is.
The real
indeed.
Yeah. So the IPO topic is not actually that complicated. Like if you look at all of history, the basic rule is like great companies go public, and if you're not public, you're not yet great. Yeah. There's two interesting exceptions to that, like SpaceX is one. And that's basically because like if you're trying to go to Mars and build a spaceship, like public markets can be difficult because it will be more volatile. They may not understand the mission. Mm-hmm. So he's waited until like Starship was proven, until Starlink is profitable. The business is much more stable. Now like going public is easier. The other interesting exception is Stripe, and basically because they just print an absurd amount of cash, they don't need to. But even then, like both of those companies will eventually go public for sure. Like SpaceX, as we know, probably this year at some point, maybe Stripe 2, maybe next year, we'll see. But there's been this whole conversation, and it's reflected in the conversation about M&A as well. Activity has been down since 2022, basically. Like, why would you go public? It seems so difficult. The bar is so much higher, etc. Like, it's actually not. The problem is, like, companies are worse. They spent such a long time now in private markets before they try and go public, that by the time they do, like, their growth is slower, their financial health is worse because of private market incentives. They still have quite high risk, so they fail quite often. So, like, the public markets kind of, like, just don't want these companies as much as they used to.
That's so interesting. So
I was going to ask more specifically about Stripe. What would the thesis be for Stripe to IPO? Just because it's time? Is that the thesis? Because obviously, yeah, they're printing so much cash, and the reason you IPO is because you want to raise more money than a private market deal. They don't need to raise any more money anyway, you're saying. So what's the thesis behind it? If
there
they
are
were
some
to.
constraints, like I believe like the last big round they did, I may be slightly off on the details here, but I think they did like a $2 billion round a couple of years ago, and it was basically to cover the tax related costs on employees of having stock options in a private company. So that gets quite expensive. But if you're public and it's liquid stock, obviously that's not an issue. So that's one major plus of going public. In addition to, I think maybe this is worth like getting into a little bit as well, like why companies do go public. It's essentially because a public company has a lower cost of capital. You can raise money more easily. It's less dilutive. You can get debt at better terms. It's just way better all around for access to capital. And a part of that is because of the compliance requirements, the reporting requirements. They add so much transparency to your business that it actually is like friendly to investors. They trust you more as a public company. So like there's upsides and downsides to like the reporting and the burden it puts on companies, but generally speaking, it rewards good companies and punishes bad ones.
Yeah.
Well, that's like not scary, but we spoke it a little bit on the show in the past, but like have just been struggling to see. I mean, I haven't had too many examples recently, but I mean, Klarna was one. I think their share price is down like a third from what they listed at. I think Figma is one that's really in the public eye. I think they're down something like 73% maybe, which is nuts. Like, I look at that and I just think like, if I think of Figma, the brand, I love Figma. I use Figma all the time. We use it for loads of our graphics here. I think it's an amazing tool, but that for me, it doesn't look that good for Figma, right? Like prior to them listing, they had like the Adobe acquisition that I think ended up falling through a couple billion. But they seemed like they were on a tear. They seemed like really good, but now it's kind of like, well, let's just air all the dirty laundry, regardless of whether the business is doing well. The share price just makes it look, it's got negative energy around it.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically seeing the adjustment from private markets with a liquid share price versus public markets where it's liquid. Like, things will go up and things will go down. You just have to hope over a long enough period of time, the trend is generally up.
Yeah.
So, like, I replied to someone about this yesterday who posted about Figma saying, like, going public was a mistake for them. Look at Facebook. Facebook's IPO was called, like, a massive flop. Huge failure. But do you think they regret going public? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Ultimately, valuations, especially in public markets, are like, they're a story. And right now, like, Figma's maybe being punished for not being seen to be part of like the AI narrative. They're not there yet, but I'm sure like something will come down the line. They're going to do, some new like AI first chapter of the business, and then they'll be able to ride some of that energy, and they'll do great. But
and that's like, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, it's because it's very like narrative driven, like price and like shareholder or like market energy can change on a dime. It's like super fast.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, it's so relevant, right? Like, the narrative thing is so key because we're seeing that like SaaS, I mean, there was an article in the FT about it the other day, like the kind of the death of SaaS in a way, like all the sort of tech stocks that aren't exactly AI native are down, like the market being down generally as well, but they were down more. It was something like, I don't know, something average like 7.5 to 9% on the year, basically. And it's that, in a way, I guess it's the perception of the market or people speculating on the fact that their businesses do not have a moat against like AI in a way. Right? People now, you can't, but people believe, and that's the main thing, that they believe you could vibe code a Salesforce alternative in 5 minutes. Like, yes, you probably could make something.
Well, you can operationally, you can, but yeah,
it wouldn't work,
it's
and you can't
brand.
roll that out to a 100,000 person firm, right? So, like, what have you seen about this? Have you been following it at all? Like, do you have any take on it?
Yeah, I'd say like that's definitely a part of it. There's the perception that they may be at a competitive disadvantage because they aren't AI native, etc. But I think probably as much, maybe more important, is just that like so much capital is concentrated into the obvious winners. Like money's gone to Nvidia, money's gone to like Oracle, whoever else, like all of the very obvious participants in this, whose like stock price is going through the roof. That's where the money's flown, and therefore like necessarily it's gone out of other companies.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the like going down the stack and talking about your thesis around like, is information asymmetry dead? And I want to talk about the kind of the way VCs are playing the game now. It seems very much like who was it? It was Jeff Morris Jr. and we spoke to him and about his article saying that there's no like where's the alpha, that no one's really investing in the new alpha. They're all kind of just following the big players. Can we talk a bit about that?
Yeah, there's like a couple of pieces to this. There's another interesting one, which is like this drive towards like VCs using AI tools for sourcing deals. Like if that becomes pervasive and like every deal is in a tool and you find all deals through these tools, like again, like where's the alpha? How do you find like the best companies before anybody else does?
Yeah, because the tool
I don't think that's going to take off long term. There's always going to be VCs. Like 1517 Fund is the one I talk about endlessly. They used to run the Teal Fellowship. Their whole approach is like finding great people before they even begin a company, before they even have that idea. Like those are the firms that are going to have the alpha. The rest of the market, though, is getting very like beta focused, like herding into, again, like similar to the public markets, herding into like the obvious opportunities, chasing the trends, and they benefit from like a faster schedule of markups, which looks good. But is it going to result in like the same, or like is it going to result in like benchmark beating ultimate performance in exits? Probably not, but like TBD, I guess.
Yeah, it's almost like indexing the market. They're playing that kind of game, not the reason why venture capital is venture capital is that you win 1% of the deals that you do, but the 1% that does win is far exceeding. Whereas they're kind of playing the indexing game where they're moving away from that. But what are the kind of main implications of that? That we as humanity just don't progress as fast as we want.
Yeah, that's a worrying one, because it's like become very much divided into like, and this is a phrase you'll hear everywhere, like the haves and the have-nots. Either you're a part of the big trend and like money is no problem for you, or you're outside of it and the pool of firms you can raise from is much smaller and they have less money. It's just getting harder and harder to be anything that's not like an AI first company in 2026. What does that mean for the enthusiasm for like places like El Segundo and like the hardware and American Dynamism? Probably that has enough momentum to sustain. But what about in smaller ecosystems like the UK or like across Europe? Maybe it gets even harder. And that's a problem. And like I've been saying this for years now. If you look back at the dot-com boom, like it burst in 2000. But 1996 was the last year that had really good returns. So like capital invested in 96, and then those vintages like managed to exit and get liquidity before the bubble burst. They did great. Anyone after that, 97 through to 2000, like cratered, terrible performance. So where are we today relative to AI with that? I would have said like last year was maybe like 97 already. Like maybe it's already too late. People should be thinking about what's next.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think we were, people were, I can't remember who we were chatting with this on the show previously, but about how like last year was meant to be the year of agents, like agents first kind of crops up and everyone's like agents. And something that we brought up was like Klarna reacting to the news and they let go a lot of the staff and they rehired them back about 4 or 5 months later. And it wasn't the year of the agents. It was a good year for AI in general in terms of like mass adoption and people using it. And now you don't really refer to it as a company as it's an AI company. You just assume that there's some sort of AI baked into it. And, you know, that's no longer how you identify a company. And I guess it's like, yeah, we've kind of been not off, but like, I think we're slowly moving in the right direction. I think that, I don't know why this is happening, but I feel that time horizons are getting shorter. I feel like we're moving at a faster pace, not even every year, like every 3 months, something nuts. I mean, it's part of the reason why we started this show, because we felt that like a life-changing event was happening. Like what would have been a life like altering event 50 years ago or like 20 years ago, whatever. It was
10 years ago, dude.
10 years ago, yeah. One was happening like kind of every week, really. Like even the Moltbook stuff, again, just taking it as a off-the-cuff example, I know like a lot of it was theatre, a lot of it was entertainment. But what was really cool for me to see that was the fact that like it kind of did, in a weird way, create an example of what a realm could look like in the future, right? It was, and I think it did get attention from some leaders, not because of, oh yes, this is definitely true, but because for the first time ever, I think we were seeing something that was pretty novel, was pretty new. It wasn't just another, you know, note-taking app with AI. It wasn't just another like, I don't know, whatever another one is, but like, it was just a nice, it was nice. It was refreshing to see something brand new. And I guess as you're saying, like with the origins of alpha sort of on the way out and asymmetry dead, like why we've kind of lost that a little bit, you know, we've lost that novel. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that there's like an interesting way to tie this back to the topic of IPOs as well, which is there are certain events that happen within an industry like AI, which are like described in research as like productivity shocks, when something like there's some big step up in what it can actually do that delivers real value. I would say, for example, the release of the nano banana model was a productivity shock, because for the first time, image models were available like at scale. They were really good. They could do text really well. They can do like infographics now. You could do like product photos for fashion companies very accurately. Like it was just a huge step up in a way that made it very applicable to like real world use cases. Though, to like historically speaking, those productivity shocks are connected with like companies going public. Something like that happens, the industry realizes like, oh, we're suddenly going to make a load more money, we're going to be more profitable, whatever it is. Like now's the time to go public. So my thesis on 26 was kind of like Blackwell, you know, NVIDIA's Blackwell chips may enable a similar kind of productivity shock, or like the hardware improvements in general on that side of things. We'll have to wait and see. But what I think is interesting about that is I don't think anybody really recognized that about Nano Banana at the time. Like it was a cool model, people talked about it a lot, but I don't think they understood like just how significant it was. And it's in those kind of events where like there is still alpha in AI.
Yeah, that's a really cool take, and it reminds me of how the Genie model that was recently released. Like I was looking at some of the stuff that it's kind of like it was literally creating worlds. Like that again felt like a new.
Like people were creating GTA 6.
Yeah, and like that felt new and that felt novel again. Like, that was a kind of another refreshing moment. So I guess it's not like we're not really getting them. I just think that we're just getting so much slop now. I guess it's because I live on X. That's probably why. That's just getting pushed to me. But I that was another moment where like, oh, okay, I can see a potential for trillions of dollars in there. When I saw it, eventually, not like right now. It was a bit like, okay, cool, yeah, I guess it's okay. GTA 6, that's kind of cool, but like, it was so immersive, it was so new, and it was so cool. The fact that someone who has no sort of technological like background could create something like that. They can create mini games, like
yeah. So where as a venture investor, speaking like broadly to people watching, where do you see the winners like looking? You mentioned that, you know, there are there are kind of like changing events, and there are like, you know, I guess needle in the haystack events where it is a, you know, there's still kind of world changing things happening in AI, despite the fact that every week things are changing all the time, but they're not necessarily, that's like kind of following the crowd, if that makes sense. Like, where do you see the alpha kind of like being for a venture investor, like in the next year to 5 years, maybe even 10 years, I guess, with the kind of like fund life cycle?
I can't take credit for this. I think it was one of the guys at Slow Ventures who came up with this, but he was talking about their thesis of like investing in the consequences of AI, which I think is like exactly the right place to look. So
That's cool.
An example of that, which like aligns much more with the kind of stuff I've invested in historically, is if you imagine there's going to be an overbuild of like data centers, there's going to be an overbuild of the like energy generation, whether it's solar or nuclear or whatever, we end up in a place in a few years where there's could be like a surplus of energy. And what can you do with the surplus of energy that's like very interesting? Is like desalination. There's also like lots of improvements to desalination technology. Water shortage is a huge problem everywhere. If energy costs are way down and the technology is better, that industry starts to look really attractive, I would say. Mm-hmm. So like that's one example of an idea that benefits from AI, but like obviously has nothing to do with AI. And that's where I think people should be looking.
Yeah, it's almost like a, you know, you are literally looking like 3 steps ahead of like, oh, if this happens and then this happens, this could happen, and therefore make a bet that I'm making at this moment be very kind of like lucrative and successful in 10 years. I think that's so interesting.
I always get like pumped about that, but I'm doing that like sat on my phone on Trading 212, like knowing that there's probably some guy who is like a million steps ahead of wherever I am. I'm like, ooh, like AI looks good here. Like, I'll buy some Google.
Yeah,
but yeah, I guess you're a billion steps ahead. We've seen like I've been really sorry. We've gone over. Are you free for like another 10 minutes?
Yeah, it's
cool.
fine.
I've loved been tracking like SanDisk Corp and some of these like memory. It's like memory stocks, I guess, that's related to AI. After like the rise in like video generation and stuff, I think again I'm explaining this from someone who's just read stuff on Twitter, but it's something to do with like the storage memory capacity of like whatever these models are has increased because I don't know the stuff they're generating is longer, it's larger, it requires more power, whatever. These things have gone nuts, absolutely nuts. And like some of the older like legacy companies like Samsung, for example, is benefiting from this as well. We've seen particularly SanDisk Corp, I think is the biggest runner in the last I think maybe 5 months, 6 months, it's up 1,200% or something nuts. That for me is like a great, like, I don't know, we're seeing some insane, not black swan event type, like I think it would be unfair to label it as like a black swan result, but like some insane new areas of value being unlocked as, and it's not just like out value unlocked as like, okay, here's another headline about how much this AI lab is raising. You know, spoiler alert, it ends with a B and it's in like the hundreds of Bs. But like that for me was like a really cool, like, I don't know, like there's retail value here as well. Like retail can benefit from this in a way if you're lucky enough to capture one or like follow the right people and get the alpha. Yeah, that was just a cool thing to see in general. Kind of sidetracking a little bit, but the stagnation of progress, kind of touched on it already, is something that you've written about before. Where do you think, like, are we stagnating, I guess, is the first question. Like, comparatively, if we were to maybe go back to 1950s, you ask people where we would be today, they'd probably have a much different version. I'd probably say that we haven't met their expectations in many ways, but in many ways we have. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that? Like, where do you think we're stagnating?
I think the biggest problem there, and like probably the take on that I write about the most, is the way the venture market works is that when capital is cheap and abundant, like in the ZERP period, it tends to just get fired into like the hottest thing at the time. It doesn't fund like new ideas and like radical new innovation, doesn't broaden the base of what is being funded. They just like double down or triple down on like whatever the exciting thing in the moment is. So like most of that increase, like low interest rates, obviously there's like a bigger inflows of capital to venture capital as investors look for better returns. most of that increase sadly ends up being wasted rather than driving progress. Then you have a market correction, cost of capital goes up, and VCs all have to like try and make amends for investing in nonsense for the last decade or however long it's been. Then they start doing stuff like hardware. They start talking about like, we need moats and margins again. So they start investing in real technology. They start looking to be differentiated. But that's in an environment where there's less money. So like there's less money to fund this stuff. And it's just tragic to me. This is the cycle we see. Like when there was the most money available, it went to like e-scooters, rapid delivery, NFTs, like all kinds of slop that like does not improve human existence. Should have gone to energy, should have gone to, you know, maybe defense tech at that point. Like Anduril already exists. Anthropic already existed. Like they could have been invested in AI instead. Obviously open AI as well, but that was a slightly difficult structure. But, you know, it's just sad how much money gets wasted.
Yeah, the NFT cycle was one of the most nuts. So I was like in it and made no money, like probably down overall. I was like early enough to make loads, made nothing if not a loss, which is awesome. That for me was like, yeah, it's weird. I mean,
do you not think you have to get through that though? You have to get through the slop to get to the you know the good stuff and the real wins. Is that not a thing, or is it kind of you can just leapfrog that?
It's just a shame the slop absorbs most of the money.
Yeah. Well, that's the case.
I think weirdly as well, I'm not like a major bear, but I'm not like some Bitcoin maxi. But like I do feel that all the money that seems to get pumped into like, I don't want to call it Web3. I guess I'll just call it crypto. Like I think Web3 encapsulates like more of the slop than like the narrative should. Like crypto in general, I think we've seen that like a load of money, and you mentioned NFTs there, so it sits in the realm, but we've seen a load of money get filed into this space, but it only seems to flow into this space when Bitcoin is doing well. We don't see any posts about, VCs making any investments when Bitcoin is down. And I think that for me is like the biggest sort of curtain unveilment of hype chasing I think one could like possibly take from the whole market. Really, it does, if Bitcoin's up, there's loads of venture capital dollars flying into Web3/crypto. If Bitcoin's down, no one wants to be associated with it. It almost became a bit of a meme to have like Web3 in your bio. It's like investor and Web3. Like now you see that and you're like, okay, not taking their money. You know?
But maybe that's also like a reflection of like Bitcoin's up when there's a lot of money like sloshing around. So that means VCs also have more money. They're looking for places to put it. I'm like, yeah, but Bitcoin...
It becomes like default.
Yeah, a lot of this comes back to like, what's a good story to tell LPs? And if Bitcoin is the obvious opportunity, like it's an easy story to tell LPs, like we're going to raise money and invest in crypto stuff and it's going to go to the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to go to the moon. It's a good way to sign off your request for liquidity.
We're 10 minutes over.
We are. I just want to ask one more that I think
be quick because we've
really
got Isaac
fascinating.
coming in.
Wait, when's Isaac coming on? Right now.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. The reserves paradox. If we can do it in like, I don't know, a minute and a half, I'd love to just hear more about this.
Yeah, it's basically a guide for emerging managers on how they manage money. So how they manage capital that goes into subsequent rounds of portfolio companies. Like there's a lot of very mixed thinking on how this is done. So like we tried to produce a guide that gives you like best practices.
Okay, well we'll have to channel people into that after because there's I've seen some of your posts on it as well.
Yeah. Go to join Odin.
But Dan, thank you so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure to hang. Thank you so much for spending time with us. It's been awesome.
Thank you guys for having me.
Good stuff.
Always a pleasure.
See you soon.
Cheers.
Bye.
Dan Gray, everyone, research lead at Odin.
Indeed. Just before we have Isaac on, Airwallex, leave outdated business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Go to airwallex.com.
Welcome in Isaac Squires, CEO, co-founder at Polaron.
Can you hear us, Isaac?
I can indeed. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can, loud and clear. Dude, so good to... sorry, well, our crowd's going wild over there. So good to have you on. Congratulations on the news as well. If you would, I'd love for you to share it with our viewers and our listeners at home.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you for having me. Great to be here. We're Announcing today that we raised our seed round, and kind of a little bit of a hello world moment for us at Polaron. So we raised $8 million, led by Racine Carre, which is a fund co-managed by Serena and Make Sense, and also backed by Speed Invest and Future Present as well, which we're super excited about the kind of consortium and constellation of investors that we've brought together. We've also got a lot of kind of industry-leading angels that we've brought on board as well. We've got Giacomo Corbo from PhysicsX and Stefan Rohr from Twice. So got some real kind of industrial AI kind of experts as well backing us, which is super exciting. And so, yeah, happy to be here to talk a bit more about it.
So cool, dude! Congratulations. The team must be pumped. Yeah, that's like a manual clap, not our soundboard.
How old is Polaron? I know it's an imperial kind of what's the word? Spin out. That's the word. When did you found it? What's the founding story? And what do you guys do? I guess for our listeners, so it's easy.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, the whole history of Polaron goes back quite a long way. So we've been, I'm actually a scientist by training, and a lot of my team, we come from like the research community. We've been working on this problem for the last kind of 7-8 years. So when we first got started on trying to solve these challenges around the way that we characterize and design materials, this was like pre-LLM, pre-transformer paper, working on some very different types of like machine learning architectures to solve these problems. But Polaron was really born around like 18 months to 2 years ago, where as part of our research at Imperial, we started to see a lot of industrial traction for the work that we were doing. We saw that our models that we were developing and publishing were being picked up by big like industrial manufacturers around the world. We were being invited out to speak at some of the biggest kind of materials companies that there are to come and speak to their engineers about our research. And it was doing that we realized that the problem that we are solving and the models that we are building have the potential to really change the way that we do industrial material science. So yeah, that's when we decided, okay, the way that we actually drive the biggest impact we possibly can is not writing cool research papers and getting the front cover of journals. It's by like delivering this technology in the hands of engineers, putting the power of these tools like right on the interface between material science and industrial manufacturing. So we decided to start Polaron. And so, yeah, we've been taking that kind of research, translating it into our first product that we now have in the hands of engineers around the world. So in answer to your second question, which is like, what do we actually do? The interesting thing about what we do is that we're really trying to touch the interface of how materials are really made in reality, right? So there's a lot of kind of interesting work being done in the discovery of new materials, trying to train AI models to understand physics and quantum mechanics to try and discover new materials that have never been discovered before. The problem then comes, what happens when you actually want to make that thing? Like what happens when you start, instead of thinking about kind of atoms, how they come together and the kind of, potentials they create and the forces they create, what happens when you have millions and millions of atoms coming together in these complex, messy industrial manufacturing processes? Suddenly things get a lot more complex and challenging to understand. And this is where exactly the type of problem that we're trying to solve at Polaron, which is we design materials at different length scales, from atoms all the way up to what's the shape of like an airplane wing, right? And in between those length scales, we have what's called the microstructure, right? So microstructure is this emergent structural properties we get when we combine millions of atoms together. And it's that determines so much of how the materials behave. And it's that which changes with the process, the way we make these materials, right? So at Polaron, we're training AI models using image data that we collect with microscopes of materials to accelerate the way that these materials are manufactured, designed, and characterized.
So nuts. This is so, I have so many questions and on like one, how is this being deployed? Who are you working with? Because when I read the Sifted article, like I thought I'd got your business model wrong in my head. So initially I thought that you guys, manufacturer would come to you guys and say like, hey, I need like this thing either improved or to be created, whatever it is, for like some sort of like efficiency gain. And as an example, and you guys would then cook up thousands of designs in a matter of days, which I think I've seen is one of the amazing things about the model is it can sort of, what would previously take maybe 50 years is now taking a couple of days with you guys. And then you guys would send back the designs and be like, hey, this is the best one that we've come up with based off like the tests. Here you go. And then you pay us like some cash or whatever. But it seems that you guys are sort of, you're selling the model itself or selling usage of the model. So I get, is this like a foundational model then in this regard, like that you guys are tuning? Like, could you maybe just talk a bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah, this comes down to like the fact that this is a very interesting kind of type of problem where what we're trying to do is optimize the way that we make materials, which is a very different type of problem to, trying to discover a new molecule for like a pharmaceutical application, drug discovery, for example. The reason that's really different is that, the kind of building blocks of molecules and atoms, they kind of are the same everywhere. If I put these atoms together in this arrangement, in my lab, and I do that on a manufacturing line, the atomic arrangement is kind of consistent with wherever we do this. The problem with when you actually go to processing and manufacturing of more complex types of materials like, battery electrodes or metal alloys is that the way that the material behaves is then controlled by the specific way it's manufactured and processed. And it's actually quite a local problem, right? So it's not something that you can necessarily, get some kind of specification, some kind of like performance criteria from a customer, and they say, make me the best material. The thing is, like, the best material doesn't really exist. What exists is what is the optimal recipe on my manufacturing line with my constraints that gives me the highest performance possible. Take, for example, in battery materials, like I have two different types of powders that go into my machines. What's the ratio I should blend them in, right? That's a pretty localized problem. And so we provide our customers with the machinery, with the kind of the engine of how to do that optimization, how to learn the relationship between process structure and performance that they have with their materials and their systems. So this enables, as much of a step change in performance as fundamentally, changing the material that we're using as well. I think that's one of the most exciting things here is like we're directly optimizing and changing the way that things happen today, rather than waiting for changing supply chains and inventing new materials that might take decades to come to market.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
okay.
It seems almost like a smarter way to do it because you're almost applying, like, I guess, an agency-ish model to something that is very complex, but very localized in the different problems that different manufacturers might have. So going on the 8 million seed, how are you guys deploying that to kind of to scale that up? Because I imagine as you onboard more clients, human capital kind of goes up and everything in between. Is that what the 8 million seed round is for? What's the kind of main the main thing that you're deploying the capital for?
Yeah, I mean, predominantly, we are kind of people constrained more than anything else. But that's kind of because we sit at this interesting kind of confluence of like, we are a research company, fundamentally developing our own models, developing our own architectures. And these are like different types of models and architectures for these types of problems, because this really is a kind of different category of problem and challenge than, typical like LLMs or like even kind of like vision foundation models. We're solving a very different problem. So we have to develop this technology ourselves. So we are a research company. We're also a software company, right? We're also providing a platform, a product to our customers, and that we need to think like material scientists and industrial material scientists and put something in their hands that is beautiful and amazing and like wonderful to use. And then we're also in many ways a kind of like industrial engineering company, a materials company. So we also need to like bring that kind of ability to translate the technology into real industrial manufacturing environments, and that's also comes with a challenge. So we have all of these different aspects of what we're doing, and exactly like you said, like what this funding allows us to do is accelerate on all of those things. It's to push the boundaries of our research. We will never stop doing that. We will always push the kind of capabilities of our models as far as they can go, keeping kind of, I think, especially in our field, like accuracy and the kind of how much it's tied to real manufacturability are the most important aspects of our models. Reducing the ability for our models to, hallucinate, tying it to real kind of high value impacts that we can demonstrate, but then also enabling, like you said, scale, like onboarding more customers. One of the big things for us is like we're solving this universal material science challenge across all different types of material system. And so for us, it's really about demonstrating that across new materials, new sectors, where we feel like there's still a huge amount of like untapped potential in doing this kind of optimization at the micro scale.
And is there any like a possibility in a world where, say, you optimize something locally for a specific problem in a specific manufacturer, and that works so well that then you can almost like, I guess, I don't know what the word is, maybe white label it to other companies doing similar things, or is that not a thing? Can you do that?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it's one of the questions that we've asked ourselves along the way, which is like, how do you bring a technology like this to market, and how do you build like a kind of a functioning kind of business model around basically, things that are very IP sensitive, like developing new materials, things that are very kind of also like very siloed and secretive data. Like a lot of the materials that we're working with our customers on are materials that maybe no one has ever seen before. So we have to be sensitive to the fact that our customers are also working at the cutting edge of material science, and we're providing them with the technology to accelerate that. And that they are also the competitive edge for them comes in bringing these materials to market faster and making them perform better. So we have to be very sensitive to that. But we explored all sorts of ideas. A lot of companies in the AI for material space are going down the kind of build in-house, develop a lab, develop technologies, license these out. Some working on a kind of like designing new materials as a service for like you mentioned at the beginning. For us, we believe that especially because the type of problems that we're solving are so universal, and that we're talking about having impact across ceramics, catalysts, composites, metallurgy, steel, aluminium, super alloys for jet engines and bone implants. All of these things have the problem that we're solving, and so we want to tap into the fact that this is this very scalable and grand challenge. And the way that we feel like we do that is we put that technology in the hands of engineers at these companies, rather than trying to kind of silo it and take it away ourselves. And that gives us the ability to then solve this, at a much, much bigger scale.
That's so cool. You mentioned there like the idea of like new areas, new markets, new I guess like materials. I saw in the article that it basically mentioned that your roots have come from like lithium ion batteries, I think initially. And we've just been talking with our previous guest about the rise now of, manufacturing manufacturing from a venture capital standpoint has kind of had this like renaissance over the past year and a half, maybe, with as like national as like tech sovereignty becomes more trendy. People are trying to maybe build a home and this kind of narrative. But we're seeing a lot of like, now we're seeing potentially data centers in space. We're seeing copper prices surge. We're seeing chip stocks go crazy. Is there a realm in which you guys can enter some of these spaces in the future? Like, is this like a perfect time for you guys to be around? Like, it kind of seems like you can marry the two.
I mean, I say this a lot, but like every era that we have ever lived through has been fundamentally shaped and constrained by the materials that we're able to create. If you look through like, the Bronze Age, Iron Age, all the way through to industrial, like, the Industrial Revolution, and then the Silicon Age with like, developing like modern computing. Everything is like always been defined by the materials that we build these things on. And it's no different today. Some of the bottlenecks in scaling up of, data centers come from material constraints, comes from like managing the thermal behavior, managing the energy demands. And like, this is like developing better thermal, interface layers, developing new battery technologies that are able to cope with this. Like all of these problems that you've just mentioned, they do come down to how can we build better materials to kind of tackle some of those bottlenecks. And so, yeah, it is in many ways, it's a perfect time for us to exist. But I would argue that any point in history would have been a perfect time for us to exist. I'm sure that like the Japanese sword makers who were making, optimizing the steel for their swords probably could have done with some of this as well.
You could have done with Polaron.
So cool.
That's great.
That's awesome.
So when so before you came on the show earlier, maybe at like 11:10 or whatever, I was saying I wanted to talk to you about the kind of like divergence of software and AI kind of in that realm, but then physical AI and where that's going. Where do you see Polaron kind of fitting into everything that's going on within physical AI at the moment? Manufacturing is becoming a thing. It's almost like, it's obviously very trendy and it's tapping into the AI race, as they say. Where do you see kind of Polaron fitting in over the next kind of 10 years?
Yeah, I think that is like honestly it's like the most exciting and interesting area right now is like the interface between these AI models and the physical world.
I agree.
And I think that there's a lot of interesting work being done about like how do we interact with our environment. And I think the way that people think about this is often like the kind of exciting work being done in robotics, in like automation of like lab systems and so on, of like how can we get AI to drive the physical world. I think definitely this is exactly where we sit, is about how do we interpret the physical world and how do we leverage that interpretation to accelerate our learning and then design and optimize materials better. But I think that something that we are doing very specifically that maybe no one else is doing is that we're looking at very different types of signals that we get from the physical world. So when we think about like robotics, we're thinking about light sensors, cameras, etc. But we typically investigate materials using very different types of sensor, things like shooting electrons and X-rays into the material to try and understand it, right? And it's the signals that we get back are often very complex and very hard to interpret and analyze. So that makes it very difficult to then, do AI on top of this data. And so that's where we sit, is that the actual characterization, so like the taking information from materials, is really currently bottlenecked by human expertise and intuition. And we go into like some of the biggest manufacturers in the world, and we see the state of the art method they have is looking at images with their eyes, about like what does the inside of the material look like, what does the inside of a battery look like, look at it with your eyes and use your brain to figure out what we should do next, right? But this data that we see is so rich with information. Like when you shoot electrons at a material and you see how they bounce back, you learn so much about the material itself and also its whole history of like where it comes from, how it was made, how it's going to behave. So that's the area of like physical AI that we're working on, is these different types of complex signals that you can get from materials. How do we take those signals that we get from electrons and X-rays and turn that into intelligence, turn that into decisions that we can make about how to improve the material?
That's so awesome. I can't wait to just follow your journey along and hopefully we can
monitor the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's slightly now divergent, not specifically on Polaron, but somewhat connected. The spin out path. I'm not sure if we've had the founder of. Have we had spin out on previously? We've covered news around them.
Maybe one or two.
I'd love to ask you some questions about like what does that process look like? Like, did you start building this at uni? I think it was Imperial that this was spun out from. You mentioned. Did you so you started building it at Imperial? What does the process look like to spin out? Does it, so Imperial will subsidize it initially, and then in exchange for some extra? How does it work?
Yeah, so spin outs are a very like special type of kind of inception story, because it's where we have IP research, knowledge that's being created at the university, funded by like university activities, right? So it's in many ways it's like a kind of it's like a formal structure to make sure that IP is dealt with properly. Imperial is actually one of the best at doing this, because it realizes that like the real impact of like research is not just about number of citations on papers or whatever. It's really about like, can you get this information and knowledge that you're creating into real actionable decisions that are changing the world? And one of the best ways to do that, one of the kind of highest agency ways of doing that, is through creating companies that can then go and take this technology and run off the back of like founders' blood, sweat, and tears to actually turn that into something real. So the way that it works is that we were developing this technology, we realized the opportunity, and we decided we want to build a company, and that was the way that we were gonna turn this into something real. So the university has a lot of kind of support systems and expertise in-house to help translate that research into a kind of commercial opportunity. So that was like the first stages. And then alongside that, they support with kind of connecting you with advisors, networking with investors, and also like kind of helping you think through the whole process. But honestly, like I would say the best thing about being a university spin out, there are some downsides as well, but like some of the best things, one is like the fact that we are just intrinsically tied to the credibility of the university, right? So that like we have Imperial backing our research. Well, I mean, it makes sense because we did spend 8 years researching this at Imperial. Like we do have the kind of scientific credibility that a lot of other companies may not have. The second thing is like the network of other founders. Imperial is like fantastic at building these like exciting, cutting edge, like industrial AI and kind of like science companies. And so some of my kind of closest kind of network as other founders come from other Imperial companies. And some of like the great success stories that I'm seeing around me as well are coming from Imperial companies, which is what, it gives us a lot of confidence, and it also gives us a lot of support in building out. Me and my co-founder, we're first-time founders, we're scientists as well, right? So having that support network is super important.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so good to hear. Yeah, I know it was like mech-eng at Imperial was all like, I know people that did a mech-eng at Imperial now. Most of them are like high-frequency traders or doing what you're doing, which is not specifically Parallon, but doing something equally as impressive. Thank you so much, Isaac. We're 2 minutes over. I hope it was okay that we overran. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Congrats,
you guys,
again.
This is absolutely fascinating. I mean, it's obviously you guys are going to kill this.
Yeah.
Nice one. Nice to meet you both. Take care.
Cheers, Isaac. Have a good one, mate. Ciao. That's so nuts.
That was Isaac Squires, co-founder and CEO of Polaron. They just raised an 8 million seed round. Quick word from our sponsor, Airwallex. Leave outdated business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all in one place. Go to airwallex.com.
Yes.
Yeah, that was mad. That's so cool. Yeah.
Like, surely that's just gonna absolutely moon.
Yeah.
I just can't see a world in which it doesn't. Like, just in terms of like the narrative, where things are heading, how popular manufacturing is. Maybe we should sell all of our lovely gifts that people have sold, given us. Let's sell them for a profit and invest in Isaac's startup. No, we would never do that. We are internally great. Our flag. We haven't got the flag out.
Yeah, we'll do the flag.
Can we do the flag?
Yeah,
I've just remembered the flag. I can't believe we haven't done the flag. It's just there. Can you grab it?
Yeah.
We have a new flag. It's pretty big.
Who gave us this?
This was sent in by Simon Pasta. Pastor, not like pasta as in like Italian pasta, as in pastor. Early stage at RTP Global. Simon dropped me a note the other day.
Take a corner.
Oh wow, am I?
You're gonna have to stand up as well.
Yeah. Let's just see. I just don't want to unplug myself too.
Come on.
People don't know we are pretty wired in here, aren't we?
It's the first time both of us have got it up. Is this? Are we gonna see this? Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it. It's massive.
That is huge.
Can the camera even?
Yay! Hey. It smells of it.
Just smell. Yay!
That's great.
That's so good.
I'll take it.
We need to find somewhere to properly put that up.
Did anyone hear us? Because we now have mics. We don't have those.
Far away from the mics,
okay, that's good. Anyway, thank you very much to whoever
cheers,
got us
Simon.
Up.
Thank you for that, Simon.
Moving on.
We'll have to get it up on the wall.
We have 5 minutes before we have our next guest on, but let's talk about SpaceX acquiring xAI. So obviously this is big news. SpaceX buys xAI for in a $1.25 trillion deal to unite crucial parts of Elon Musk's empire. That was the FT article headline, and basically he's bought xAI, merged the two together for $250 billion, valuing the whole group at God, what is going on with my numbers? $1.25 trillion.
Wait, you're doing your thing where
This
you
is big numbers.
5x
I'm 5xing everything.
No, Luke,
I don't need to, dude. The numbers are big enough.
Before we go into this, Luke has this thing where sometimes he'll either 5x a number or he'll like divide it by 5. So like either time there could be a difference of like 10x sometimes, because if you
10x.
If you went like,
well, I almost said 25 billion, which isn't wrong. I'm pretty sure it was
so you had a
250 billion.
What was the one the other day that we did that was I can't remember, that was like a 5x difference. But I learned the rule of the 5x with Luke, the Luke Knight 5x law.
You know, take everything with a pinch of salt. Anyway,
this is huge. I'm pumped about this.
Yeah, this is.
I'm buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing. I think we're going to see
in the wake of the IPO in June, potentially in a few months' time, which is nuts. xAI has merged with SpaceX.
Rocket company boosts valuation to 1 trillion.
Just before it happened, at 1 p.m. GMT yesterday, Polymarket released if you go onto are you sharing the X article?
Yeah.
Anyway, Polymarket said, breaking. Polymarket projects a SpaceX plus xAI merger is imminent. Over 80% chance on Polymarket. A few hours before it actually like formally released.
Wait, so what was the copy for the tweet? Sorry, like
breaking. Polymarket projects a SpaceX plus xAI merger is imminent at an over 80% chance, 81% when they screenshotted.
Let's hear it for Polymarket.
So congrats to Polymarket.
Let's just. You'd love to see that from them.
They obviously had some insider.
Maybe it is. Who knows?
They had people close to the deal, as the journalists say.
Profit from your knowledge on Polymarket.
Lots of people profiting from their knowledge. Do you want to read out a few
Let's
little
go.
bits?
Let's run this. I'm pumped about this. SpaceX buys xAI in $1.25 trillion deal to unite crucial parts of Elon Musk's empire. Rocket company boosts valuation to $1 trillion and pays $250 billion to acquire AI startup as Musk envisions data centers in space. Now, for those who don't know Elon Musk, this is all part of the plan. This is all part of
every single one of our viewers will know who that
is. Everything. He wants to build the conglomerate. He wants to build the everything app. He wants to build, the X industries. He said this from the start. He said this before, before xAI, before Grok, before SpaceX. Well, it wasn't before SpaceX, actually. It was after SpaceX. But this has always been the plan. Before he bought Twitter, this is his plan. He wants to build the everything company, X Corp.
I think it's so hilarious that 10 years ago, Twitter employee, you're just vibing at Twitter, gets bought by Elon Musk. Now it's X. Then they merge with xAI, and Grok's part of the thing, and you're still part of X. You're still obviously an employee of X. But it's been integrated. And now you're working at a space company.
Yeah, I saw it. There's a joke tweet.
Which is so good.
There's a joke tweet that's like Nikita Bear waking up and realizing that he's now like working on rocket science.
Yeah. I'm now technically a rocket scientist.
Which is good.
Which is so good.
And then the corner is like, SpaceX. Yeah, the social media company. I've heard of them. Which is so funny. But yeah, like we can do a proper deep dive into this news after we chat with Hannah.
I think Hannah is in the live stream. Can you hear us, Hannah?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You're live on ETN. How's it going? Nice to meet you.
Amazing. Super happy to join you guys. Very exciting.
Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for spending some time with us. You have some interesting news. The hackathon that's coming up. Very exciting.
Yes.
Before we jump into it, would you maybe just want to intro you? Like, who are you? What do you do? What is Unite? What is Nucleate? And sorry for the issues tagging Unite as well. I know we had a bit of a back and forth there. We tried our hardest.
It's fine. It's always a struggle to tag Unite. And actually we're going to update the name in a few weeks. So hopefully
Nice.
after that, the sort of tagging will be easier. But Unite itself is new. We're almost kind of a startup ourselves, but we're actually the startup factory for Berlin and Brandenburg. So this newly funded, supported by both the German government and private sources, organization with the goal essentially of making Berlin a hub for scientific startups. So I'll briefly introduce myself and then chat more about what we have coming up. So
Awesome.
I'm Hannah. I'm from Boston originally. My background is biology and neuroscience. Started off working in research, then kind of the lab I was working in during lockdown closed. Found my way into the startup world and then into early stage life science VC. And then I realized I was really interested in kind of the translation of life science, scientific research into startups, and kind of dove more into that world. Did a master's in molecular medicine alongside my work in VC, built up the Berlin chapter of Nucleate, which is a nonprofit that helps scientists to spin out their research and become founders themselves. And then recently, a few months ago, joined Unite, the startup factory, as I mentioned. And yeah, super excited. And I'm really excited to chat about this hackathon that we're planning. So in end of February, February 27th and 28th, we have this Bio and AI hackathon coming up in collaboration with Project Europe. So it's Nucleate, Unite, and Project Europe working together on this. Apply now. So applications opened yesterday and they are open until the end of February 9th. So please apply. We're looking for essentially a mix of scientific and technical talent. So trying to bring these worlds together. So if you have kind of a scientific background or an AI background, you're welcome to apply. And we want to be building teams that kind of have this mix, or if you have a preformed team as well. And we will have kind of 50 to 80 participants, approximately 24 hours, 3 challenge tracks: protein design, genomic synthesis, and agentic AI and life sciences. So we're very, very excited, and want to encourage everyone to apply.
Awesome stuff. You heard it here first. Viewers and listeners, go and sign up for the hackathon. Amazing. Okay, well, my first question, I want to ask you selfishly, because you are incredibly well poised to give an expert take on this particular thing. Why is bio and AI becoming mainstream again? I feel like it kind of arrived, then it left, now it's back. Why is it having a moment?
Yeah, I think, of course, I'm biased, but I think it's a super exciting moment to be working in kind of life science and biology, because biology is really moving from a science to an engineering discipline. I mean, there's so much that we now understand about biology that we didn't understand as well a few years ago. We have the ability to kind of gather so much more data. Genomic sequencing is much less expensive. It's easy to gather large amounts of data with wearables, et cetera. And now we are really starting to get a lot of tools to process this data and to make sense of it with AI. So this is a huge opportunity where, previously biology is so complicated that a lot of the sort of medicines or the innovations that people built, it's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of kind of seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. And now we're getting to a point where we can really design proteins to kind of bind to particular targets or make much more targeted interventions. So it's a really cool time to be able to kind of combine all the knowledge we have, the data collection we have, with these new AI tools to make real differences.
That's awesome. And it's not, I don't know, like, if the last time I could remember there being like a bio hackathon, right? I think the fact that this is happening is kind of like an example of how much this is catching on.
Yeah. And it's great to have the backing of DeepMind as well. I believe they're like backing the hackathon. Is that
Yeah, so we've got 3 challenge partners. For protein design, we have Adaptive, which is a very cool company that they have an automated lab and they do a lot of testing of proteins that people design with AI. So people can make designs, send these to Adaptive, and they will give a real experimental validation of whether they work. Super cool. They're going to be able to provide this wet lab validation for the participants of the hackathon. Serova Bio, which is an early stage startup working on cancer vaccines, very cool, UK based. And they're doing the genomics track, and then Google DeepMind is joining as the Agentic AI Challenge partner. Super cool.
So
they also
cool.
just released Alpha Genome a few days ago. I mean, of course, they're one of the sort of most active, most well-known in the space.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Yeah, it was only after that I it was the thinking game and then AlphaGo were like the first two things that ever, I mean, AlphaGo less so obviously, but the thinking game has a bit more of a biological premise to it, which is really awesome to see. When you and I were chatting the other day, and like, I only really learned this when we spoke on WhatsApp, but the life sciences hubs, you were originally from Boston, you've worked in SF, you've been in the States. Like, why is,
I haven't worked in SF.
Oh, sorry, haven't worked in SF. But like the hubs.
But it's definitely a hub. For
yeah,
sure.
sorry, yeah. So that being a hub, I didn't know that was a hub for life sciences. I had no idea that SF was a hub for that. What are the differences that you're seeing in Europe and SF for this in particular? Because I mean, we compare the two ecosystems quite a lot in the tech world anyway. But like, I guess specifically within life sciences, what are the differences that you see?
Yeah, I mean, SF for sure, kind of the tech side of things overshadows a lot of the bioactivity, kind of to the general public. But there's a lot of bio and AI life science innovation there as well. But Boston is really known as a major hub specifically for life sciences, and this is where I grew up, and still have strong ties there. And yeah, I mean, there are a few differences. So for one, Europe has a lot of the building blocks that are needed for being a life science hub. I mean, Europe has great academic research, great science in the labs, impactful publications, etc. And Europe also has a lot of kind of young, ambitious founders, especially these days, but has been historically less successful at actually translating this research. So there are a few things that are different that I noticed specifically. So one is just the translational layer is not as developed in Europe. So the worlds of scientists in the lab and entrepreneurs, building, working on tech products, these are very separate worlds still. This is not only a European problem. So this is generally there's a huge cultural gap, I would say, between academic scientists and entrepreneurs all over the world. There are a few hubs like Boston, like SF, or kind of, around Stanford, where they've done a good job closing this gap and these worlds are closer together. But in a lot of places, and especially throughout Europe, they're still quite kind of separate cultures. And there isn't as much of this kind of translational layer that actually helps scientists get their research out of the lab, out of academic contexts, and into companies. And also just generally, I mean, Boston is a mature ecosystem. It's been building big life science companies for decades, and Europe has a lot of the right ingredients, but has a lot of very young ecosystems. So this means that you don't have kind of people who have gone through the process, founded, scaled companies, super experienced. They can come back and angel invest and mentor and lend their connections. And this is just something that it's harder to kind of kickstart an ecosystem when you don't have this returning talent as much. But at the same time, we're kind of starting to get this more in Europe. And the more you do get this coming back, the more it kind of starts this feedback loop and can increase the development of an ecosystem. So young ecosystems, but with a lot of potential.
Yeah. And I assume having partners like Project Europe kind of backing these kind of things and doing more like, hackathon type things, getting more of the kind of, I guess the VC ecosystem interested in this kind of stuff just kind of opens the door, like almost, in like a mind share thing, you might be a biologist that's kind of at the frontier, but not really thinking in a commercial sense. But then, having that, window to, like there is a world that will back me and give me money to go and do X, Y, Z. That's really cool. I wanted to ask about the kind of operation of the hackathon in itself. Is that the main kind of way of accelerating this? Do you think that's the kind of thing that you want to do more of? How many are you going to do a year, I guess? Are you going to do more after this one in Feb?
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely one of the main drivers behind the hackathon, is kind of wanting to make these worlds mix. And this is why I wanted to partner with Project Europe for this, is because, they do a really good job bringing this hype and this energy. And so, yeah, this is a huge step towards kind of getting scientists out of the lab, getting them to interact with tech people, with founders who maybe have a different perspective and different culture, and just kind of create this mixing. Also, I mean, I think in general, Europe doesn't always do a great job selling itself. And this is something that the US is very good at, and often will sell itself without any substance behind it, which is also not good. But when there is substance, it can be really worthwhile to kind of create some hype and create excitement around things. So that's also what I'm hoping to do with this hackathon, is showcase the really cool stuff that people can build when you have talent. And I'm hoping that kind of real ventures might come out of this. People who want to stick together, keep building their projects, eventually turn it into a startup. But this is the first hackathon that I've ever organized myself. So I'm learning as I go. I don't know if we will do more. Obviously, Project Europe has done many, and it's amazing to kind of learn from them. And Nucleate as well, actually, some other members of the Nucleate Munich team did a small hackathon before, and plan to do some other hackathons throughout Germany. But I would love to do more events like this. I think it's a really cool way to bring people together and kind of spread this entrepreneurial culture. But I have nothing specific planned yet. So everyone's going to come to this one and apply before February 9th, because no other ones are in the calendar for me yet, but I'm sure we will have a lot more exciting stuff coming as well.
That's crazy. It's your first one. I mean, the lineup's insane. The first one and DeepMind's involved, which is pretty nuts. You mentioned Nucleate.
We're working with good partners.
Yeah, insane. You mentioned Nucleate. You are the co-MD specifically in Berlin. Would love to hear more about that and what it's doing. It seems connected very much to what you're discussing in terms of increasing mind share of this problem, trying to get more attention to it, helping the younger generation. Would love to get more on that. And then I guess specifically as well, Berlin as an ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nucleate is actually an international nonprofit. So it was founded originally by a Harvard PhD student who felt like he didn't have enough exposure and education about how to be a founder. This is something super common for scientists. You go through an academic scientific education. I experienced this as well. And you're not exposed to the idea of startups at all. And so Nucleate came about to really give scientists education and the tools to actually be able to found something if they want to, and to learn how to spin out their research. And so it is, originated in Boston, but has grown to be a global organization with chapters all over the world. And the chapters are kind of very independent as well. So I kind of helped build up the Berlin chapter starting 3 years ago. We just came together as a bunch of, PhD students, postdocs, master students, et cetera, who were kind of interested on the border of life science and entrepreneurship. And yeah, the idea is to bring scientists into this world and to support scientists who want to found. And Berlin as an ecosystem, I mean, I love Berlin. I've lived here for 6.5 years now. And I think I see so much potential here. So it's really a truly international city. And it's a big city. And I mean, there's so much that the city has to offer. So there are lots of universities, there are lots of students, it's a population of 4 million. There are lots of kind of ambitious young founders coming from all over the world. And also I think the culture of Berlin as kind of this contrarian place with this strange history where this sort of vacuum in the 90s after the wall fell allowed a lot of sort of weird art to pop up and kind of led to the first startup boom in Berlin in kind of the 2000s, partly because there was a lot of space for this sort of contrarian attitude, sort of strange ideas. And Berlin still is a place that, living here, it feels very like free and open. There's no kind of one standard life path that you feel pressured to adhere to. People do all sorts of weird stuff, like crazy out there art. And I think this is actually a huge kind of positive for founders and for a startup scene to grow. Because if you want to try out really weird ideas, like there's space to do that here. And also kind of, I mean, Munich is an amazing ecosystem for life sciences for sure, but I think it's a lot kind of closer to its full potential already. It's an older ecosystem, more established institutions, et cetera, and less international, less appealing for talent to move there. And I think Berlin is really kind of just at the beginning of the process of growing this ecosystem. And I see the ceiling as being very, very high for where it can go. So I think it's a really cool time to be kind of building here and trying to, put these pieces together to help grow the whole ecosystem.
That's so awesome. I've never thought about it in a way of like, that was like such a huge shout for Berlin. Never thought in like it's like it's pro-contrarian in terms of like the creative space, right?
Awesome. Isn't that what you want in startups? You want people who don't want to follow the rules.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of that here. So
so true.
We were just speaking to someone, who writes a lot in VC and says that is being lost.
Alpha is dead.
The alpha is dead. Contrarianism is a lot of people are following the leader kind of thing and being sheep, I guess. Where is the alpha? And maybe it's in Berlin.
No, you heard it here first.
I would bet on it.
We are.
I am. That's why I live here and I'm building my career here. So.
You're putting
money
where your mouth is.
Putting my money where my mouth is.
Good stuff. Where can we send people to sign up?
I was just about to say,
the hackathon and hear more about it and all of that kind of stuff. We want to help, obviously, and kind of push the word.
Where can we plug people?
Yeah. So we're looking for talent across Europe, and we will have some budget to help cover travel costs for people coming from outside Berlin. At biohack.berlin is the domain. So very simple. I love the .berlin domains. Biohack.berlin, you can see more information there. You can apply until midnight, February 9th. So still almost a week. And we want to get kind of top scientific and technical talent, or if you just like to build things, we're looking for a mix of people.
Awesome.
So cool.
I love it. It's a wicked website as well. I've just gone onto it. It's very nice.
Thanks.
Nice color scheme.
Yeah, I made it with the help of Claude, because I'm not
a
pro web developer, but I had so much fun designing it, I have to say.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Spun up in Claude. That's
Congrats.
Nice.
So cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, lovely color scheme. It's going to be good. Okay, well, we will try and push as much as possible, get people signing up, and good luck with it all. We'll keep us updated.
Yeah, thanks for spending time with us, Hannah.
Yeah, thanks so much. Love what you guys are doing, and it's really cool to be live with you.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Great to meet you.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Ciao.
Awesome. That's so
Hannah
cool. What an admirable thing.
Life Sciences at Unite and co-MD at Nucleate Berlin.
Love it.
Love
to see it.
If you're working in bio, the intersection of bio and tech, and you want to go to a bio AI hackathon February 27th to 28th, get down there. 50 to 80 participants. They will welcome.
We love it. Quick word from our sponsor, Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market. Stay informed and profit from your knowledge. Go to polymarket.com. Should we go back into the SpaceX xAI merger or deal and all of that kind of fun stuff?
Let's do that. Let me just hit my old website button right now.
We have our next guests. They're the co-founders of Fleet. They're coming on at 1:30 p.m. So make sure to tune in.
10 minutes. 11 minutes, sorry.
11 minutes.
So, yes, X Corp is back and it's on the way. Before I even read the article any further, I just have to assume that Tesla follows. That they all just get wrapped up
They will.
I
think so.
It's just got to happen.
Indeed.
As we all know, as Musk says, the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. But maybe just a bit more. Who wrote this?
So in the article, I think this was in the article, I put it down in our show notes. From Musk, he says, global electricity demand for AI simply cannot be met with terrestrial solutions, even in the near term, without imposing hardship on communities and the environment. He wrote, in the long term, space-based AI is obviously the only way to scale. It's an obvious move. It's an obvious consolidation as well. I mean, the dude's running 5 multi-billion-dollar companies.
Yeah,
he
he's
also
probably
obviously runs
buzzing.
Tesla, the brain implant
probably like,
company,
"Oh,
Neuralink,
thank
and the Boring Co, which is the
God.
tunneling company. So now he only owns 4 companies. What the hell? He must
loser.
be.
This must be.
He must
I've
be
never
chilling
thought of
now.
it from that perspective, right? Because now it's just another all hands that he doesn't have to do. You know, like this is just
Yeah.
Musk on like a path to just making his day more chill by smashing together multi-billion-dollar enterprises.
Exactly. So yeah, it's pretty cool. If you go on the timeline, if you go back to the show notes, go onto the timeline of the SpaceX, like the wildest 3-year corporate timeline ever. If you just go onto this,
Can we just do the article and then
we've done it, no?
we haven't read anything off it?
Oh, we did it before we had Hannah on.
We read the title.
Oh well, okay, fine, go on.
For the viewers at home.
Yeah, go for
Sorry,
it. Go for
guys.
it.
Luke's,
It's all right.
Luke's,
I'm
Luke-
jumping ahead.
Luke's jumping ahead. So SpaceX based the price for xAI on a recent 20 billion funding round, valued at the 2-year-old startup at 230 billion, according to 2 people familiar with the matter. There's that 2 people familiar with the matter
Not
again.
5.
Not 5. It's gone down to 2. Weren't we impressed by 5 last time?
I was like, normally
5
it says 1 or 2.
Oh,
and
no,
then,
5
and then
was a bit
suddenly they
much.
just came in with 5, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
you guys are
Everyone's
really,
talking about it.
really working overtime.
Everyone's chatting about this thing.
You're like, do you want a piece? Do you want to chat about this?
So it's coming up again. I love this so much. Executives also confirmed that SpaceX was still aiming for an initial public offering in June. The FT previously reported that Musk is pushing for the company to list that month because of a rare alignment of the planets Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury. It's not mentioned this, but also it's because it was his birthday as well. The IPO is expected to raise as much as 50 billion, which would make it the largest flotation of all time. That's just more about the IPO. Monday's merger, which bankers say could complicate that expedited timeline for the public offering, forms part of Musk's vision to develop a sentient sun to understand the universe and extend the light of consciousness to the stars, he said in a statement. That is interesting because
That is contrarian.
that is super contrarian. It's almost like
Well.
a bit too contrarian. But that
Dude's
is
Elon Musk,
interesting
he can do what he
because he tweeted out before the news broke, which was last night at about 8 p.m. UK.
Yeah.
He tweeted out about midday, so 8 hours prior to that, a response to like something that basically read very similar to this line: a sentient sun to understand the universe and extend the light of consciousness to the stars. He said something about how like we haven't even captured the power of the sun yet, and like that's on his to-do list to like capture the power of the sun. So that's like a slight teaser there, you know. If you've got notifications on for Musk's tweets,
Just teasing us.
which I think he drops about 32 a day, which is nuts considering how busy he is. And you've got good knowledge on the topic. You've got good knowledge on how Musk acts. You can go to polymarket.com and you can profit from that knowledge. Just letting you know that right now.
Nice.
That
was good.
Spun it into a little thing.
That was
there.
good. Are you done with the FT article now? Are you happy?
Am I done with it? Yes, I am.
Good.
I am
Nice.
done.
Now we can move on to
I was just checking if there's
the
anything.
wildest 3-year corporate timeline ever.
Oh, we actually missed some more stuff.
Oh
so
my
that's kind of
God.
important. Well, let me just talk about. So the takeover valued the overall group at 113 billion, pricing xAI at 80 billion, with X at 33 billion. This tie-up allowed the company to integrate more closely with xAI training in its models on X data, while xAI's Grok chatbot has been added to the social media platform's social feeds. Musk bought X, formerly known as Twitter, for 44 billion in October 2022. xAI did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Interesting. Okay.
Nice.
Okay, we're good. Let's go. Switching back.
We're switching back. And now we're switching back to if you just go
okay,
to...
hold me. I need to switch screens. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then
It's this one here.
Bosh.
Nice. There we go.
Look at that.
The wildest 3-year corporate timeline ever. October 2022, Elon acquires Twitter for $44 billion, as you just mentioned. Now worth $33 billion, $11 billion. Rough. March 2023, xAI is founded, then Twitter rebranded to X, similar time. Then 2024, in May, mid-2024, xAI raises $6 billion at $24 billion valuation. Then a little bit later, a few months, xAI completes the Memphis supercluster, which is 100,000 GPUs up in 122 days. Then December 2024, xAI raises another $5 billion at a $50 billion valuation. In March 2025, xAI acquires X in an all-stock deal, which values xAI at $80 billion, as you just mentioned, and X at $33 billion, again, as you just mentioned. Then in June, xAI raises $5 billion, again, at a $136 billion valuation. Then in Jan, xAI raises $20 billion at a $230 billion valuation. I mean, like, there was always going to be a point when, like, it just couldn't just keep raising again and again and again. He obviously wants to win this AI race, and they just have to... it was just always going to happen, right? The consolidation of all of these assets and all of this story. And now potentially in June 2026, there could be an IPO which values the whole group at 1.5 trillion.
So now we've got xAI, X,
SpaceX.
and SpaceX.
Yeah.
All under one umbrella.
Yeah.
Under xAI.
And then he has Tesla, Neuralink, and the Boring Co. just sitting there doing their thing.
Yeah. Just Starlink comes under SpaceX.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Boring Co. I can't really see. I mean, yes, it's great to have the tunnels underground.
He's going
I'm trying to work out
he's going the wrong way. He's trying to get out of the Earth, not going in.
He's not going down.
Well, yeah, he has to go down to create the tunnels, you know?
Yeah, okay, actually. Temporarily.
Technically, he's going the wrong way.
No, that's true. Yeah.
If we're speaking about, are you directionally right? He's going directionally wrong way.
Temporarily going down in the tunnel. I just can't imagine like a car vertically going down in the tunnel.
It wouldn't.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying if he was to dig the tunnel, then it would. But anyway,
Nice.
I don't know how that would fit into the the X Corp, the Super Corp.
I don't think he
Maybe
won't.
that one's just gonna get left.
No, he won't.
Kind of like that satellite, not satellite, the solar panel company that I think his cousin owned, that he became a
board
founder
member
of.
Oh, really?
Or something.
Okay.
And then I just kind of just forgot about that. I'm not sure if it's still running.
Yeah. Well, this obviously really puts xAI in full-on runnings, which is quite wild, to be honest, for kind of being within this winning the AI race type thing.
I mean, it definitely.
I mean, obviously, the
things
next, the obvious bottleneck is energy and having to kind of find a way around that, and having SpaceX becoming allowing humanity to be multiplanetary, or at least getting into data centers in space. That puts them very much in the front runnings to win this race. So
it's funny,
very cool.
Like, no one's actually like many of those involved in
It
the
becomes
AI
less about
race.
LLM model and
So who can win the data like center race, I guess, in a way. Like
Exactly.
He's decided, okay. To be honest, a part of me might even think like AI race, is he winning? Not really. Kind of xAI is kind of seen as like the fun cousin who kind of shows up sometimes on the AI race. It's not really a serious competitor.
Yeah, but now he's able to. He just owns the monopoly of.
So yeah, he's like,
compute
screw this.
at whatever.
I'm just gonna go build data centers in space, and then everyone's gonna have to use me anyway. Genius.
Super clever. Anyway, next on the show, we have the founders of Fleet. I don't know if I think they're in the. Can you hear us, guys?
Yeah.
Ah, hello. How's it going?
Let's go. Let me play some trumpets. You guys got some awesome news.
Love it.
Firstly, congratulations. We have been looking forward to host you guys. And Sivan, it's good to meet you. We've not met you before. It's good to have you on the show. Alex, this is your second time on. We're eternally grateful. Where to start? Maybe can you just tell
the news, right?
Yeah, the news. Give us the news. Tell the viewers, tell the listeners, and tell us what's the amazing thing that we're all celebrating today.
Yeah, so thanks for the invitation. We just closed a deal around at 100 million valuation, 7 years after launch, and we are a company 100% bootstrap, no external funding since the beginning. So we are very proud of this achievement of reaching this valuation only on self funding. Yeah.
That's so nuts. So how long have you guys been building Fleet for? Did you say 7 years? Did you say
7 years? Yeah. Yeah.
As co-founders for 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a couple.
Can you give us we spoke to Alex about Fleet, and we can get to this in a second as well, but it's insane that this thing is bootstrapped. It's absolutely nuts. Can you maybe as a refresher, I'd love to hear like the founding story again, like how you guys got together, and then I'd love to go into some of these more intricate details on, I guess, doing this for 7 years, where you are today. It must be such an amazing feeling.
Yeah, of course. So Sevan and I, we met much before those 7 years. We met like 12 years ago or something, I think. We were at Rocket Internet. I don't know if you know about it, the same web browser. And we were in North Africa at Jumia. And we got friends very quickly. We were living in North Africa, so we were working all day and we were having dinner, spending weekend together, and at some point become roommates. It has built a very strong relationship and friendship between us. And I think after that, we always knew we wanted to build something together, and we just looked for an idea, found it, and then start working on it. And 7 years later, here we are.
There you go. And tell us the primary reason for you guys kind of doing this LBO. What's the obviously you guys have kind of, I guess they say, de-risked your position and got some liquidity, so as have some of the employees. What was the kind of main reason for doing it? Was that the main reason? And what's the kind of plan going forward? Because you guys still own the majority of the company, is that right?
Yeah, it's a minority investment. It's only secondary, only cash out. The idea is, so we've been building Fleet 50-50 in the cap table together. And 2 years ago, Alex, who has a very strong also activity on business angel, investing in a lot of company. I think you're the #1 business angel in Europe, no? So Alex has been,
you're just dominating everything. You can be a founder, you can be an investor, but you're both.
Wait, cool. You've left Sivan to do all the work when you're out angel investing.
So at some point, we said, okay, is it fair that we stay 50-50? And so we found, the LBO was a good opportunity to re-equilibrate the cap table a bit. So Sevan obviously is keeping more percentage than me. I'm staying very strong shareholder, and I'll stay active, and I will become chairman of the board and keep advising Sevan and the leadership. And we thought, so it was an opportunity for both of us cash out, re-equilibrate cap table, find a new partner for the new cycle, make our employee cash out as well. Like we have a lot of stock options for employee, and we thought, okay, let's have a milestone and let everyone cash out. And so they realize, okay, this has real value, and I guess it's gonna help us to attract new talent as well, because this promise at Fleet is real. Like when we give you stock option, you make money from it, and it's not bullshit versus some other companies. And finally, I think it's a great momentum for the company, and we were lucky to reach this number of 100 million. But it's what a message, no? Like 7 years to 100 million, and now next 5 years we go to 300, 500 something, and so on, no?
Yeah.
And it's becoming more common for, obviously you guys aren't venture-backed, but more common for venture-backed companies doing secondary sales. A lot for the kind of retention of their employees, not just kind of bringing more employees on, was it very much like a, we want to keep our employees kind of, incentivized, and, employees are looking to buy a house or whatever, they want a bit of liquidity. Was that also like a kind of like the main reason was to kind of retain those employees and say, hey, look, you guys have worked hard over the last 7 years. This is, almost like a thank you from us.
I think it's attraction of new employees also, both, like attraction and retention. So I think we are releasing several million euro to employees that was with us in the first cycle. So it's quite a lot of money. We have very young people that will become rich thanks to the fleet story. So we are very happy. So of course it's very good it's a good message to both retain the one we want to keep and also attract new talent and tell them, okay, we release a new stock option plan. The first one has been cash out, so it's real money. Also this valuation 100 million. So when you're bootstrap, it's more difficult to attract talent, no, because you don't make the headlines. You don't have a valuation. So now we can say that we have article in the press. We are 100 million valuation company. So it's also good for the employee, employer brand. So all those reasons I think are good reason, to make this deal today, and we are very happy. I think also this LBO, this LBO thing, it's I think it's not very famous it's not very common in the tech ecosystem because many companies are VC backed. Most of them are not profitable, but when you're profitable, LBO is amazing. It's a good way of like cash out a lot of money, but keep the control of your company, take some debt, so leverage your company. And so it's a very, very good tool, a financial tool when you start to be profitable to have the best of all worlds, like it's like you cash out, but you are not diluted or very few diluted. You stay here, and so it's great for founders that want to stay for long in their company and that want to get some liquidity.
100%. And the investors that are now own a little bit of the company, what's are they just kind of, obviously they're minority shareholders, but how much kind of I guess involvement do they have in helping run the company? Are they part of the board, or what's the what does that structure look like? Obviously you guys are Sivan, you're on the ground, like in the leadership team, is that right? And then Alex, it's just a shareholder, right?
I'm a chairman of the board, and
Okay.
and Sevan is the CEO, and the new investor will be at the board.
Yeah.
So yes, they're not gonna be involved in operation and day to day. But they will have some right to express their opinion and discussion and
they have some veto rights on as we need to vote the budget together every year. Of course, I mean they will have a voice in the board and all the strategy decision of the company. I think also it's quite important to mention that it's not this traditional old school LBO investor. It's originally it's a VC fund, French VC fund called xAI, and they created a new venture fund, not venture fund, but a new fund that is dedicated to more LBO company, but tech companies that are profitable. So they have a very high, strong tech DNA, and it's more growth investor than just a classic LBO investor that just want to, I don't know, milk the cow or whatever. So the idea is really to grow, to reach at one point maybe 100 million revenue in the next 5 years. And this is where the plan we have with this investor. So we're going to invest more, and we're going to keep growing fast, hopefully.
That's awesome. What's the plan? Obviously, so growth for the next 5 years is obviously the plan, but where do you guys see that growth kind of going? Is it kind of the thing that you've been doing over the past 7 years, or do you feel like there's more opportunity in a similar place in what you're doing? What's the kind of the operational plan to kind of grow in the next 5 years?
So we've been expanding internationally quite a lot, because we are operating in 15 countries now. We just launched the US 12 months ago, and we already do 6 million annualized revenue just in the US. And we operated from Barcelona, so from Europe, with a team of sales team operating with shift hours. So I think there is a strong upside in just like expanding in the US, expanding all the countries we launched, because it's still quite early, but we see there is a strong product market fit. So it's IT is a big market. IT for SMBs is a huge market. We are in many countries, so the market is crazy huge. So I think it's a lot an execution play, like a operation play. But we also want to go deeper in the service we provide to our customers. So I think today we are a very solid solution if you want to easily procure, manage, and renew your IT device everywhere in the world with a centralized platform. So thanks to us, so we are very strong in managing your device, onboarding your employees automatically, offboarding automatically when you have an employee that leaves the company and you want to, give the computer to another one or give back the computer to us. I think what we can push more is all the IT services around, managed service, like be more a managed service provider, so help you also to manage your software, your security of your IT fleet. So we'll probably launch IT service on top of this to be the full IT solution for companies that are below 500 people employee. So yeah, I think the play is like to go even more deeper in the IT space, but there is the product is already quite strong, and it's just there is a lot of distribution upside, with the existing product. So we think we can reach this 100 million euro revenue with a product that is similar to the one we have today.
Let's go. And I guess going back, I feel that we have a rare opportunity to speak to both of you guys, because usually I don't think we've ever had two co-founders on the set, apart from maybe Icarus Robotics once.
It's very rare.
We only ever have one, and obviously last time we had Alex. I'd love to ask you both, and this is a one answer for Alex, one answer for Sevan as well. What's been your favorite moment from working with Fleet? Because a bootstrapped journey of 7 years to 100 million valuation is a really cool thing. So there must be a funny story in those 7 years between the both of you somewhere.
Tough question.
Most funny moment, best moment, best.
Best, funny, either or.
No, I think one great moment for me was, after a few weeks after launching, it was just the two of us with one intern or something like this, and we start to reach very quickly 100K per month, and it might look stupid, but me, I was more in charge of, collecting the cash and invoicing a financial partner, and just seeing, the bank account growing. I felt like, okay, this is a real business and we have real distribution. And I was making annualization calculation in my head. So, okay, we are already at 1 million a year. It's crazy. And this first realization of having a product market fit and having a real business and start to pay expense and stuff. Yeah, it was exciting. No?
That's awesome.
Yeah, for me, I think it was really the early days when I think the first computers we deliver them together. We went to the office of the client. We did a picture. Then we have a lot of moments where we had to call some clients to do some cash recovery. So we had funny story because some clients didn't pay their rent, and we contacted the girl on Facebook. She didn't answer. Then I found her family, her brother on Facebook. I contacted her brother. Her brother told me he was pissed at her in the lesson. So it was funny thing like this, and that we were living together, and it was crazy. And it's still stories that we tell to the team today, because we want people that have this entrepreneurial mindset, and we've went to many, situations like this, a little bit crazy situation, but very hands-on. And I think at the end of the day, you remember those days, because it's You know, it's a lot of stories. You know, it's true that when you grow, it's amazing. It's you know, like numbers are amazing, but you're less in the day-to-day work, and it's more, you know, like it's less concrete than the early days. Really, the early days are really many funny moments, many crazy moments, many difficult time, but you remember all those things. No, so yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah,
That's so
that.
awesome.
Great
We're coming up to time. We're on time. I got to ask though, how's Baptiste feeling about all this? Baptiste has been there 5 years. I think Baptiste has been at Fleet.
Yeah,
like it's so nice.
we have great story with Baptiste also. Like he started as an intern. Then I sent him so young. He went alone in Barcelona, not speaking Spanish, and he had to open the Barcelona office and our first market for Fleet. So I think he learned Spanish there and start to sell and start to find financial partners and so on. And yeah, he has been doing so many entrepreneurial stuff here, and yeah, it's amazing to see him grow with us and develop himself also outside of Fleet. He launched his stuff, Early Builder, which is a community of early chief of staff and people like him. So yeah, like we are glad to have talent like him at Fleet.
Almost a third co-founder, Baptiste. It's amazing.
Yeah. so
cool.
Awesome. He's a legend. We love Baptiste as well.
Before you go, I wanted to ask, like, obviously this is just such a cool success story, and you guys must have like an incredible amount of wisdom about company building and everything, and you know. A lot of our listeners obviously, you know, want to build incredible companies. I wanted to ask just generally, like, what do you feel advice-wise? I don't know how old you guys were when you started Fleet, but what was the, you know, what was that thing that you feel like you always would revert back to in the hard times and the good times? What's the advice that you would give to a young entrepreneur wanting to build a successful company, whether that's venture-backed or bootstrapped? But what's that advice that kind of, you know, there isn't a golden ticket, but what is the thing that you guys always think about when you get to those hard times?
First thing, I think you need to choose well your co-founder. I think this is the most important thing. And I think you shouldn't really look for... Not sure if I think the most important is how do you get along well with your co-founder? Do you align on the vision? Communicate more than trying to find someone that has complementary, you know, skills. You know, it doesn't really matter. Me and Alex, we are two business guys with similar skills, but we get along very well. And I think a company needs co-founders that communicate, take fast decisions, and get along well. So I think this is, I would say, the first most important thing is this. And then I would say second important thing is no matter the choice you make, no, there is no good, you can be bootstrapped, you can raise funds. It really depends on your business and what kind of story you want to have, no? But I think one thing you should really be careful is you should be really strong on some principle, 2 or 3 very high principle in your company, culture, values, business model, and stay very, very disciplined, because along the way you will have a lot of temptation to, you know, not like do some, you know, not really abide by those principles because you do some shortcut or, you know, be more flexible on this principle. I think you need to be very, very disciplined in those big principles. And then, of course, along the way, for all the rest, you need to be very, very flexible in the way you get there, because, of course, an entrepreneur, you need to change your mind, you need to be opportunistic, you need to be very flexible in the way you get there, but you have to keep those 2-3 big principles and stay very, very disciplined on them. And this is, I think, what has been successful at Fleet is we've been very strong on some principle linked to bootstrap, no business model, things like that, financials. And that's what allows us to be here today, I think.
I love that.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We've had a blast. We are at time, but congrats on the news, boys. And I mean, it's super exciting. What an amazing success story.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Have a good day.
Good
Cheers.
stuff.
Bye.
We'll see you soon.
See you guys. Ciao.
Next on the show, we have John at Rogo. But just before we have John, Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market. Stay informed and profit from your knowledge. go to polymarket.com. So we have John Willett. He is the co-founder and COO of Rogo. Rogo have just raised a $75 million Series C led by Sequoia Capital. I believe John is calling in from Europe somewhere, maybe London. I don't know.
I think he's in London. I think he's building out.
He's building out the London office, right?
Yeah.
So we will have John on. Hopefully,
John
he did
will be
just pop
joining
into the waiting room and now
any
he's out. So
second.
John, if you can hear us, come back, please.
Yeah. If he's watching the stream, come back to us, John.
Please come back.
We
But
miss you
while we're
already.
waiting for John, Airwallex, leave outdated business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Go to airwallex.com. John, can you hear us? Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
You're live on ETN. Thank you very much for
live
joining.
on the show.
Hey, folks.
John, how are we?
I'm doing good. Yeah, can't complain. How are you guys?
Doing good,
we
John.
can't complain either.
I
It's
think
great.
firstly, a congrats for a 75 million Series C led by Sequoia. Congratulations. Could you maybe, before we kick off, introduce yourself, what Rogo is, and then a little bit about the raise as well? That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. I'm John Willett, co-founder and COO of Rogo. Like a lot of folks at the firm, used to work in investment banking. I was a very lowly TMT banking analyst at Barclays and JP Morgan, doing grunt work at 4 a.m. for a couple of years, and then started the company about 4 years ago. Rogo is an AI platform for financial firms. So think big investment banks, private equity firms, hedge funds, et cetera. We're very lucky to have about 25,000 bankers and investors using us globally. Basically, the whole team is either ex-bankers and investors on the one hand, or AI researchers and AI engineers on the other. And the whole sort of mission statement for the company is those two personas working together to really harness the power of frontier LLMs and agents for hyper-specific kind of financial workflows. And then what I'm working on right now is growing the business in Europe. So I'm moving to London. We've opened up an office near King's Cross. We have about $160 million in the bank. And one of the primary uses for that capital is this growth into Europe. So I couldn't be more excited.
Let's go. We love to hear that, especially in King's Cross as well. We'll be there after this show, so maybe
Nice.
we can get a coffee sometime. Before we jump in further, I have to ask you now. Before we go into detail about Rogo, I'd like to ask you about the Athena project.
You guys do your research. Wow.
So I saw this as a report in June 2020 from the Princeton Office of Undergraduate Research, which kind of, to me, seems like the foundations of what Rogo is today. Yeah. Can you tell us more about the Athena project?
Right.
Ronan texted me this last night, and I was like, dude, how the hell have you found this?
I'd love to know more about Project Athena.
That's incredible. No, so yeah, Gabe and I, Gabe's our CEO, my co-founder. We were best friends and kind of major nerds at Princeton about 6 years ago. We did some early kind of AI NLP research, which really is like total cave art compared to what we're doing today, but got us interested in the space. We had both done sort of internships on Wall Street at that point, and we were interested in applying NLP to kind of data analysis in finance and financial research. This was sort of back before you could just call an API and get intelligence back. So it was a lot of kind of anachronistic, grammar-based models, et cetera. But we wrote that paper. We were very proud of it at the time, but now I don't want anyone to see it. So please don't link it. But yeah, that totally was sort of the genesis for the company. We did that. We worked on Wall Street for a couple of years, and pretty quickly, realized we wanted to do something in this space, and we were seeing both the incremental progress of the frontier, OpenAI, Google, and other labs at the time, and then really felt sort of the use cases coming alive for us in the seed. Gabe was at Lazard, and I was at Barclays at the time, and the original sort of product thesis that we had was, hey, maybe in 2 decades we'll get to a point where you can kind of just give the models a ton of inference time compute, give them access to, APIs and a ton of different data sources, and they could start to produce real artifacts of work. So that still read like science fiction. I can't claim to have kind of predicted the pace and velocity of where we are now. But still, we were really excited just about this kind of use case of LLMs as a semantic layer across all the data sources that we were using as analysts, that FactSet, CapIQ, PitchBook, Crunchbase, Filings, Earnings, Web, News, These were all these different sources, and half my day was spent just triangulating across them and putting them into Excel. And so we saw LLMs as sort of the ability to do a little bit of light reasoning across those data sources and help with a lot of that manipulation. So after a couple years, we quit and started the company.
Dude, so awesome.
I love to see it.
So cool.
And now we should probably fast forward to what Rogo is now, what you guys have achieved, and like I guess the vision of the company and what you guys are doing right now. Maybe it's worth kind of explaining that a little bit, and then I've got a few questions about the product and where you see the future of this kind of going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've really been kind of commercializing in the modern form for about 2 years now. The first couple of years was more kind of R&D and starting to get pilots and POCs off the ground. But we're starting to see major enterprises adopt this technology. All of our revenue essentially comes from folks who pilot the product, realize they like it a lot, and then expand firm wide to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 bankers or investors, which is amazing to see. In terms of kind of the product itself, we're very lucky to be moving from sort of this chat Q&A hell that we've been in for the last few years to real workflow automation. Giving the model a ton of compute and letting it go out and build full Excel models end to end and map that into full RFP, bake-off decks, pitch books, etc. In terms of the value we provide, I mean, we think of it really across 3 different personas. For the juniors, it's a lot of research and material creation, so improved quality and also improved velocity and time savings on a lot of the work streams that they were doing already. For seniors, it's a lot of insight generation. And we believe that, in the current kind of status quo in the pre-AI age, seniors and banks more broadly were accessing only a tiny fraction of the information that was relevant to a given transaction or a given pitch. And that's both across external data sources and internal data sources, like CRM and SharePoint, et cetera. And so we're helping bridge that gap. And then for the firm as a whole, we're creating a better connected firm by integrating with a lot of the disparate systems that they've set up internally, so that they can actually leverage all the different relationships and touch points that they have across the bank or across the firm.
And
very cool.
As the product, do you see? So, I mean, a lot of the banks that I assume you mentioned, you're onboarding some of these huge enterprise clients, and thousands of analysts are kind of using the product. A lot of them have their own internal AI models and are training that to understand in context what's going on. And context is the main thing in AI at the moment, really, with LLMs. How do you guys integrate within that? And is that a little bit of a bit of friction point for some of these banks where they're like, oh, we've already got our own kind of thing? How do you guys sit on top of that?
There are certain folks you could talk to where it's a little frictional in the first conversation, but in general, we found that our best partnerships are with the large firms that have very sophisticated technical teams already. And I think as this space matures, we're seeing sort of clearer and clearer zones of expertise and focus between internal teams and external teams. And my mental model is, about half the work that goes into creating good tooling in this space for, let's say, investment banks, is actually quite transferable across the banks. And that's going out and aggregating all these different data sources, centralizing them, creating a single kind of company knowledge graph and ontology across all of them. So a lot of that is taken reps out to dinner from data vendors and then also actually doing the data eng work. There's teaching LLMs how to create real PowerPoint artifacts and Excel artifacts. So there's all these different, somewhat generalizable, really hard pieces of technology that need to be built, where it simply doesn't make sense for Goldman Sachs to spend $200 million to do it, and then JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley and everyone to do it independently. It makes much more sense for a single vendor to do it, keep it up to date, which is more than half of the battle, and distribute it across the landscape. But that's only half the work, and the other half of the work is this firm specific engineering of building out the the MCPs on top of their internal data, or structuring it in an intelligent way, integrating all the tools so you don't have a lot of tool sprawl, using the Rogo tool to build out hyper-specific workflows and hyper-specific sort of automations and agents. So it's a big collaboration play. We've set up our product to be, not just a black box, but really a toolkit that the most sophisticated firms can use in an interoperable way. So no, we get really excited when we start talking to folks who are working on things internally, and typically ends up being a better and more sophisticated partnership.
That's awesome.
I've got one question I probably should have asked earlier on, just for my sake. Right? I've never, Luke used to work in private equity. I've never worked in like a traditional finance position before, but I have friends that have worked in IB. Can you just break down like the day of an analyst, like your role at Barclays, right? Or your role at JP? I know that your co-founder Gabe was also at Lazard, you mentioned. Like, what was your role then? Like you come in at work, what time? What does your day look like? When do you leave? Just so I can get an understanding for like, how much work this thing is replacing.
It's pretty bold, Ronan, to assume that you ever leave the office. I was usually I'd wake up there. No, maybe come in around 9:30 or 10 a.m. I was never the earliest bird, especially given how late we were working. But I was in banking in 2020, 2021, which was sort of this interesting SPAC boom. I was in software banking, so it was a huge amount of pitching to get into these incredible deals that were happening. We can look back and wonder whether they were high quality deals. A lot of them happening. So over half of my weeks were spent pitching, which meant a company wants to go public, or they want to de-SPAC, or some sort of sell side mandate is happening. Management, which might be really a private equity firm or actually a founder led management team, decides to run an RFP process to kind of enlist the help of banks and doing that transactions. You get a long list of questions to go out and answer, and then you and 15 other banks put together a 90-page pitch book that management barely reads, and then you go in and then as an analyst, you probably are not even in the meeting, even though you built the entire pitch book. And then afterwards, you hear that we didn't win the deal. That's kind of a day in the life, and then sometimes you're in a live deal process, which means it's honestly a lot of tracking kind of how an auction process is going. So there's a certain asset you're trying to sell, and you're like, okay, here are the 500 private equity firms that might be interested in this. Let's reach out to all 500. 20 reply, and then you're kind of just tracking that in a buyer's log and tracking diligence requests, et cetera. So I mean, it's interesting because they do tend to hire maybe me notwithstanding, the best and brightest from all these amazing schools, and it's a lot of mundane work. It's a lot of number crunching. It's a lot of stuff that gets you bored after a little while. But the stakes are so high, and the tolerance for errors is so low that it is worth paying people a lot of money to do it. And then what's interesting is, as you start climbing the ranks, more and more of your job, goes away from kind of that mundane number crunching, and you start owning client relationships. And that's a totally different job that people need to upskill on really, really quickly. And we're finding that we're able to help with that as well. And now VPs, which by the way, VP in finance is sort of a mid-level position, someone who's like 32, 33 years old, can actually use Rogo to start servicing clients a lot better and understand kind of the context around a deal, build their Rolodex, run screens, et cetera.
Awesome.
That's huge.
I know we've just run over. Do you have a hard stop, or can I just ask one more question?
I'm all good, guys.
Okay, cool. I wanted to ask about London, about you guys moving and opening the office and everything. Where do you see the opportunity here, but I guess all over Europe? And is it you that's coming over, and then you're building a team from here?
Yeah, exactly. It's me coming over. We have one other person from New York coming over, and then we're building a fully local team. Obviously the market here is enormous across both investment banking and asset management and investment. And we believe that Europe is, more than possibly any other geography, one that requires a really bespoke partnership approach. And it's not a geography that we can serve from 5,000 miles away, both in terms of kind of the change management and end user training, but also in terms of security and compliance and legal. You really need local teams that are on the ground. So we're doing a lot of hiring, boots on the ground in London, and we'll be servicing all of EMEA out of that office.
Let's go.
Good
Let us
stuff.
know if we can help with anything at the European Technology
Sure,
Network.
I'll
You may be able to.
Yeah. Well, keep us updated, and thanks very much, and congratulations on the Series C, moving to London, and everything that you guys are doing at Rogo. I think it's
cool.
genuinely the future of finance, which is really cool.
Cheers, John.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time.
Good
Nice
stuff.
one.
See you soon.
Ciao.
Awesome stuff. That was John
Willett,
Rogo,
co-founder, CEO of Rogo.
What a show. Quick word from our sponsor, Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market. Stay informed and profit from your knowledge. Go to polymarket.com. That is the show. We will see you on Thursday. We have a massive show on Thursday. So make sure to tune in Thursday at 11 a.m. GMT. We will see you then. We've been ETN.
Nice. Just freestyle that.
Yeah, bye.